What it do, and welcome on into championship weekend here at DBDLeague for season 10. And before we get started into things, if we happen to have any disconnects of our voice or anything like that, just give you a heads up. We're having some issues with our Discord. We had a little quick disconnect. We want to make sure it looks like everything's fine now, so we should be good, smooth sailing here on out. But if we have any sort of hiccups, just to kind of give you a heads up, that's probably what's going on. But welcome on in, man. What started as DBDL's biggest season to date turned into the first season we would officially be supported by behavior, and now it all comes down to this: a 20K prize pool as our 4 teams left prove exactly where they stand among the best in the fog. I'm your boy Q, and I'll be your host for the festivities to wind down this season, and we've got a busy couple of days ahead of us as our final 2 matchups compete across the weekend. So in case it's your first time through, or maybe you aren't exactly sure how things are going to be playing out over the weekend, check it out. Both our bronze matchup and our championship matchup will be squaring off in best of 3s. And no, we're not talking about best of 3 sets. We're talking about best of 3 series, where those are going to be, best of 5s for our bronze matchup and best of 7s in the grand final. These are the best of the best, after all, and we do want to put their skill sets to the test. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Today, we do have just one matchup on the docket, and that's series number 1 of our bronze matchup, where Ariandel will square off against Nokron. So 1 best of 5. Of course, a campfire chat isn't nearly as fun with just one person. So for our matchup today, I got the homies MetalBro and Fredrik, who are going to be helping break things down along the way. MetalBro, let's start with you. How you doing, fam?
I'm doing pretty good today. Very excited for this Nokron versus Ariandel matchup. There are some pretty interesting looking sets going on today, so I can't wait to be here with you for these.
Should be a lot of fun. Now, Fredrik, we're coming down the home stretch. How are you feeling as we get ready to kick off our final weekend? And we'll put an asterisk, I guess, on that for now, as we head into our last couple of days.
The finals weekend is always some of the most fun because you see the largest killer variety. That has to be the part that I love the most, because you burn through the killer pools so quickly, and then it becomes about so much more of a player's skill set. I almost called it a kill set. Wait a minute, that would have been genius. They're allowed to really flex their muscles a lot more. We saw it before. We saw it in the match that I got to analyze, actually, between Elysium and Ariandel. You get down to the wire and you get to see so many more interesting killers, and that's what makes the finals weekend really exciting for me personally.
Well, we're definitely getting ready to kick things off with series number 1, and I have to agree with a little bit of the sentiment y'all both talked about. We've got a deep pool here. We got the best of the best getting ready to kick things off. Let's actually kind of set the stage for our 2 teams here. Fredrik, how about you tell me a little bit about this Ariandel squad?
Absolutely. Please give me the roster. Hardwell has performed exceptionally well with strong macro play, strong micro play, but also is no slouch on the survivor side either. And that really is the big story of Ariandel. They play well they play well in every situation. The problem tends to be their consistency, like we saw before in their match that sent them down to the 3rd place game that we're going to be watching now. However, when the players on Ariandel play, like when they are at their best, they make some of the most incredible plays, gasp-worthy plays. And whenever they are playing, you can't take your eyes off of the screen because you never know what's going to happen. You can see some of the most brutal blunders next to some of the most incredible plays in the same trial, and it makes every game that this team plays exciting.
Do definitely like to bring the flair. They're a team I feel like, especially when you look at their roster, definitely a lot of experience on this team, right? So definitely understand
Mhm.
why they been able to make it to this team, to this stage. I mean, even looking at some of the names that I remember from, I mean, looking back to DBDL like season 6 and even prior to that, we're now in season 10. We're talking about players who really kind of know how to do exactly what needs to be done to be able to walk away with the dub. I feel like it's a roster you mentioned as far as the consistency. Sometimes not exactly there, but we definitely know that their ceiling happens to be quite high, right?
Yes, and that's what makes them so exciting, right? Like, it's I would not blame anyone for saying Ariandel is their favorite team, because they will break your heart and just as soon mend it with the plays that they make.
Well, MetalBro, let me help walk me through this Nokron roster here as well, because of course Ariandel's not the only one taking to the fog for this weekend. Tell me about the squad a bit.
Absolutely. Nokron, a very, very strong team as well. I mean, Ariandel is certainly a great team, but Nokron here is also very capable. We have Zaka, the team captain, who is also one of the only killer players in Team Nokron. Very strong as well on both Survivor side and on Killer side. He's made some incredible plays here, and we also have Marcos as well. Very strong Survivor player. We've seen plenty of incredible loops from him as well. Yvonne, very, very notorious Survivor player in Nokron. I don't know if you guys recall that Midwich game with Wraith where Yvonne just kept holding that window upstairs on Wraith and he just couldn't make any single progress. And yeah, we also have Shen as well. I mean, we have, Team Nokron is very, very strong Survivor sided. They have a lot of incredible Survivor players here that are all extremely adept at lasting and chase. So definitely a squad to be feared, I would say.
Definitely one of those squads. I mean, I know looking back, is the top of our leaderboards, and I mean now is sitting in a spot where they're sitting here in our third place game. So how about we actually set the stage in as far as for today? Because as I mentioned earlier, it is a best of 5. So let's go ahead and review our killer pool quickly, as I do know our players are just about ready here to get ready for trial. Started off with Nokron's pick, the Houndmaster, on I know that haven't seen much competitive Houndmaster, so that should be a lot of fun to be able to watch to kick
Ooh.
things off. And then we're
Oh,
off
yes.
school, Midwich Elementary for set number 2, which will feature the Dredge, our pick from Ariandel. ARP, which is Nokron's second pick. Good to see the artist. I love the artist, always being able to see kind of that skill ceiling with the shots across the map. And then we're off to the Wild Wild West for Singularity. But guys, if we go to set number 5, probably one of my favorite, the Deathslinger, Suffocation Pit. My boy Caleb might not walk fast. He does walk with a limp after all, but I feel like it's a killer pick that really allows for the best to be able to shine with highlight plays and shots. Now, Fredrik, at one point in time, as I mentioned earlier, we saw Nokron was sitting atop the standings, right? 6-0 with their last
Mhm.
win being against Ariandel, actually. Since then, however, it's been a bit of a tough go for this Nokron squad, dropping their last 3 series of the regular season and then their semifinal matchup to get here. How important would you say it is, in your opinion, for Nokron to be able to try and get back to their winning ways here in this very first set?
Nokron, for a while, I believe, were the favorites to win the entire tournament. That is no longer possible. It's got to be shaking, right? To be at the very top of the leaderboard, to be arguably the favorites for a lot of people, and then to struggle so much later on. I think that they're going to be fighting against Ariandel as much as they're going to be fighting against themselves. They need to maintain composure, especially given these killer picks. Artist, I feel like you can be a little bit more methodical. Artist feels like a methodical killer who likes to corral people into the corner of the map and, get them into bad places. But then you have killers like the Houndmaster, the Dredge, the Singularity. These are killers that will punish you for a single misstep hard. And so maintaining composure throughout the entire match is going to be necessary. And this is, of course, only match one. They're going to have a lot of time to ruminate once they're finished with this match as well. So they're not only going to have to maintain composure through this match, but also the succeeding matches.
Definitely feels like getting off to a nice start in set number one would surely help with that, right? Now, MetalBro,
Yeah.
as we do know, set number one doesn't have to be a deciding factor in this series, as Fredrik was just talking about, right? It's a long weekend ahead, and even just today, it is a best of five. But I'm kind of curious when we look at today. We look through this killer list, which might I say, quite an interesting 5 picks, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of curious if there's a particular set that you look at as like a deciding set, like the one set that like either of these teams truly has to take if they want to make sure they walk away with the series dub today.
So I can definitely say, from what I'm looking at with this killer list here, that there's two of them that really stick out to me: Dredge and Singularity. And that's not just because they're both monster killers. We here at DBDLeague have been watching for a while, obviously. And Ariandel, I would say, is very strong on Dredge, for sure. Dredge is one of those killers that just has an insanely high kill rate in DBDLeague, just because of how the map really works in his favor. All the lockers are placed all over Midwich, so it works out very well for Dredge here. And like you mentioned earlier, Q, Dredge is one of those killers where one singular mistake can end in the survivor team's in their doom quite quickly. And that being said, we've seen Bubbo on Dredge before a few times, and every single time has been extremely terrifying. I would not want to go against Bubbo's Dredge, especially not on Midwich, and I fear for Nokron in this. But maybe they have an answer. So this is one of those deciding sets, I'd say, Dredge. Following that, I would say likely Singularity, just because of how the map can really work in his favor depending on how you play it. There's one area of the map that is just riddled with pallets, and if you can eliminate that quickly, turn it into a dead zone, and hook your survivor there, things can go very, very well for you.
And
I'd
if
like
I'm
to
not
sidle
mistaken,
in.
no, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'd just like to sidle in and also mention that two of these killers, like I agree. I agree with Rob. I also want to point out that two of these killers are not like the others. The Houndmaster and the Gunslinger are killers that are very moment to moment killers, right? Like you throw out a shot, right? With the Houndmaster, you throw out your hand and you either land it and you get a hit, or you miss and you don't. And it all comes down to that split-second decision making. And so I think that both the Houndmaster and the Deathslinger, the Deathslinger, those sets are going to be very volatile. I think that if we are going to see surprises, it's going to be in those sets.
I think that's a good point. I think that's a point. And Deathslinger being the decider is definitely going to be a lot of fun. Now let's turn our focus into set number one here, just specifically, and get our last points across, because I know our players are ready to hop on and get this thing started, and understandably so, a big weekend of competition ahead of us. But I am kind of curious here, MetalBro, before we jump into the series completely, give me your pick on who you think walks away with this dub in this entire series.
I think that we're looking at Team Ariandel taking this win here, honestly. They've performed quite well. Their matchup against Elysium, unfortunately, did not turn out in their favor. But you know what? They have a very, very strong survivor side. They are extremely, extremely good on the generators, and they last and chase very well. And their killer side is no joke either.
All right, all right. How about you? What are you feeling here as far as in this series, Fredrik? Who's walking away with it?
I think I have to dissent. I think that I think I favor Nokron in this, if only because I wonder how much getting knocked down here shook Elysium. It was a brutal way to get down here. That best of 3 matches was brutal, and I think that Nokron might have had more time to center themselves, and I'm willing to bet that we will see that happen in the Houndmaster set.
Well, you know what? Ain't no more time to talk about it. It is indeed time to be about it. Our best of 5 for series number 1 of our bronze matchup. It starts now. It's going to be Zaka out on the killer. We're going to the comp tower, baby, for some Houndmaster action. Let's go ahead and send it on over to our casters, Edgar and Andrew.
Thank you so much to our analyst desk. Welcome in, everybody, to DBDL Season 10, our bronze medal game, our playoff weekend. I am very happy to bring you all the action. I am OutcastAndrew. I'm being joined by my good friend Egdar, and we are loading in right now Nokron versus Ariandel, the Houndmaster on CT Cole Tower. We're loading in right now. Egdar, how are you doing today? Are you excited? I'm excited. I hope you're doing well.
Big one today. What a way to kick off the weekend with some Houndmaster gameplay. Zaka going to be leading it up immediately. Sends the dog over to the main building, running a fairly standard build here. Dragon's Grip has been entering the meta quite a lot recently. It's sort of passive. It works as that kind of passive slowdown. Yeah, sure, it doesn't make the gen go any slower by itself, but it means that you can't actually work on that gen while it's been kicked. So it's a pretty out there tool which teams will try and use to keep control of the generators. You were able to find a survivor in that main building, but after doing some renovations, you remember what it's all about. You just go right back over to these generators. Looks like someone has run over to Shack. You should be good to try and chase them down, but actually you're going to divert your attention instead. You've caught someone else out. That would be Hardwell and Bubbo. Bubbo seemingly on the worst side of the chase right now. The dog flick not quite going to be landing, so we're going to get over to this pallet. It's a strange way to play it for these survivors. They often have to be very brave when choosing whether to drop the pallet or not, because use it at the wrong time, that dog is just going to bound right over it and catch her in its jaws.
So I don't know if you noticed, these generators are wild right now. We have what looks like I would call it 4.5 gens up near the main building side. So that probably determines how our killer, how Zaka is going to play this a little bit. It's hard to see on your screen right now, but there were main building gen, 2 on the right side of main building and 1 on the left side, plus a sort of middle gen there. So really tight generators. We are going to see a quick down here on Bubbo, and that is going to slow down some of the progress. This could be a really good spot for a hook. Okay, 1 gen gets done. This hook is devastating. It's a pain res hook facing the outside of the map, near in the 3 gen, in the 4 gen, if you want to call it. It's pretty far away from that. If you see on the left side of your screen right now, there's the one in the corner on the left and one in the tile on the right. The one in the tile is pretty far from this hook. That hook is wild, Egdar, because you have to walk all the way around the edge of the map to get up the hill, and that's going to be very defendable. We'll see how loose or tight we want to camp here. Zaka comes over, forces Swatter off the generator, and is going to go back to the hill.
First down came through at 1 minute 48 seconds, slightly above the average of 129. So honestly, you're relatively on pace for Zaka right now, and an instant for the people play gonna come out onto Bubbo. Normally, however, the full people survivor, the one who uses it, is in a slightly safer spot. Not going to be the case for iPick here, who's just going to eat that hit immediately, be put back on the hook. For Zaka, obviously the ideal is, yes, the hook onto Bubbo. But with the basement, with basement right here, you're actually just going to take a free, fresh down. Sure, it's not a kill on Bubbo, but it's another fresh hook. It's going to be very difficult to save. It's going to be one that the survivors won't be able to save without paying some kind of mean price for it. And also, if you send Bubbo down and then you get intercepted by the killer trying to get that save, then suddenly Bubbo is dead on hook. And it's like, okay, brilliant. If I'm Zaka, I'm salivating at that prospect.
It is Bubbo down in the basement here too, so this is a little bit scary. Okay, I like this, waiting on this, but also I was gonna say, I thought Zaka was gonna go. We see killers are aware of this move. Killers will sometimes go down and check and see if somebody has crept down there waiting for an opportune time to unhook. Thankfully and lucky for Ariandel, Bubbo manages to escape that. Killer is coming back for the unhook here. Bubbo is gonna be in chase. But iPick gets clean out of basement without taking it down. It looks like, we're chasing Bubbo here. Oh, good swing through the pallet, but not quite there. Yeah. This is an important hit. Good juke. Oh my goodness! The lingering hitbox! Okay, and you'll see right now, yeah, Zaka's not going to swing until after Bubble breaks free. That gives them less distance, and now we're going to see if we can get him down before he gets down to the bottom side of the map. Bubble needs to get down towards Shaq's side and not die near the top of the map here.
He already uses life. He already uses light, so he don't have any tools to escape there. Zaka aiming particularly well with the dog there, gonna grab up onto them, and the Leopard Speedo Ace gonna go right onto a hook. Leopard Speedo Ace is a real thing now. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We get to see this live. In the meantime, generators are being pumped out pretty well. You did mention that gen spread kind of in favor of the main building side earlier, but it seems like the survivors are very much working on trying to get that done. Now Ipic, the injured survivor, is being found here. That being said, I'm not entirely sure what Zaka's plan is. I'm not sure if it's to go after Ipic or to return back to that unhook and just secure the kill onto Bubbo. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Bubbo has a strong palette to work with here, however, and we have Hardwell, who is more than willing to take a hit as well. So Bubbo's going to be able to live for a bit longer here.
Yeah, this is a really good play by our survivors. Quick, that was very strange. It was like the bite came in and canceled right away. We're going to take the hit on Hardwell, and yeah, we're going back down the other end of the map because we still have these 3-gen, pardon me. I was going to say Squatter's been cranking away that gen in the corner and does manage to get it done. I think that Zaka wanted to keep the hooks up the top side of the map, and that's why we switched from Bubble to Ipic. Put him into the basement. I think we probably needed to camp it a little tighter to prevent that unhook, particularly the fact that Ariandel took the risk of sending their hooked survivor to the basement. Important to note, Ipic does have a pain res if that winds up coming into play, and just a lot of good play here by our survivors. We're probably gonna. Oh, they're done the gen.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they do that? They're done the gen. That's why they're about to finish the gens.
Yeah, but the idea, obviously, Hardwell Hardwell also has the adrenaline there, so he's more likely to escape. But someone was going down there. Hardwell would have been a fresh hook. Bubba was already dead. You want to avoid the tunnel out as much as possible, but by the time that you get down to like the very last person, at that point, if it's one hook stage, you'd rather give up a normal hook stage than a fresh one. Hardwell has been able to utilize that adrenaline to get over onto an exit gate as well. So now you can see Zaka is in slight desperation mode. Is just going to try and play around another fresh hook onto Swatter, who does have the bounce landing as well. Gonna vault the window. Doesn't actually take the bounce landing, but that's because Ipic's right here. Should be able to take a hit.
One dog.
Yeah, just one dog. Not even a dog, a poodle. It's like the least scary type of dog I can ever think of, dude. But that's going to be a tremendous performance coming out from the survivors. Almost a speed run. The average amount of hook stages for a Houndmaster is about 7 or 8. And I believe that was 4. Like,
yeah, really strong. Really strong by our survivors. It was looking good at the beginning. Ended up losing that hook down the top side of the map. They cranked the gens. They got out of there. They protected Bubble long enough to die in time to save save Hardwell. And that's going to be 4 hooks, 2 fresh. Let's pass it over to our analyst desk so they can talk about what happened in that match.
A bunch of filthy gen rushers is what it looked like to me from Ariandel. My goodness gracious, those gens just went flying. One thing I did want to talk about, though, we saw some pretty early hooks, and more importantly, a basement hook that I thought could have turned things around a bit. And instead, a really good recovery from Ariandel. MetalBro, can you walk us through that a little bit from what you saw?
Absolutely. I mean, with Ipic getting down so close to main building and basement being right there as well, we almost thought it was going to be over for Ariandel because the basement is such a strong position to hook a survivor in as a killer. But Bubbo just sneaking into the basement without Zaka's knowledge at all was just such a devious little move there, and it worked out extremely well for Ariandel, securing a minimum of 4 stages on 2 fresh survivors. That is insane work, honestly. Really well done by Ariandel, just keeping the stages as minimum as possible, getting the generators done as quick as possible, and just keeping chases just lasting for quite some time. I mean, the average first down on Houndmaster is 129, and it came in this match 19 seconds later than average.
Yeah, I felt like the chases, while a little bit longer, I do gotta say it resulted in some good hook placements, right? I know we had heard our casters talking about that first hook on that hill up at that top left portion of the map where our comp players would call like 11 up there, right? But and then we got to the basement after that. What was interesting is it felt like Zaka was doing a decent job, especially even in that chase coming out of the basement, of still being able to utilize and understanding the hitbox of the dogs there. I was kind of curious as far as from your perception, Fredrik, what was Zaka doing right there to at least be able to continue accrue some hook states? You're muted if you're talking, by the way.
I am. It shows a decent knowledge of the killer, right? The Houndmaster is a killer that can. You have to take advantage of everything that you have with the Houndmaster because it's all in the dog throw, right? The dog is as your projectile. Can you land those hits? It all comes down to that. And if you want anything more than that, you have to understand the way that the Hound's hitboxes work. And that knowledge was really excellent. Unfortunately, I think that one of the weaknesses of Houndmaster is she struggles to apply pressure across a lot of different gens. That's just not something that's in her kit. She's far from the only killer who struggles this way, and she does have abilities to increase her speed going from one place to another, but her pressure isn't nearly that of, say, Singularity, who we're going to see later. And I think that was key to getting the basement save. Ariandel knew that the Houndmaster was going to have to leave if she wanted to keep up the pressure, and so sneaking into basement against Houndmaster may be a little bit less risky comparatively.
Will be interesting to see as far as now you're coming out here on the survivor side, right? And you don't have the ability to hand over a lot of stages, and that was even after seeing again we saw a decent start as far as from our killer. It felt like 19 seconds longer than the average chase, and maybe if it kind of I guess the question for me to you, MetalBro, would be as far as for our killer coming out here, or our survivors coming out here. What's going to be the biggest focus for them in the first 90 seconds to set their team up for success?
I would say make sure you identify the proper person you want to be chased all game, and everyone else needs to sit gens and get them done quickly. If there's one thing to take away from Ariandel's performance on the Survivor side, is that they let gens just fly as fast as possible, and they kept survivors. They kept their survivor in chase. They kept Bubbo running in chase. He didn't go down very quickly. They provided body blocks whenever necessary, and then it's just it's little things like that. And I know that Nokron understands that. They just need to execute that, and I think that they're perfectly capable of doing so. We've got quite a squad on Nokron, so I think that they're very capable of it. We just have to make sure that they put it to the test.
Well, let's see if they can come out here. Remember, keep in mind that this is Nokron's pick, and we had mentioned at the top of things that they have had a little bit of a skid to their momentum that we had seen from this team that at one time did sit among the top of the standings as we are more than halfway through the regular season. So let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog and see if Nokron has what it takes to bring things home in set number one. Casters, take it away.
The interesting thing about the Houndmaster is that Nokron have picked them 4 times throughout Season X. Elysium have picked them a grand total of 0. Now, you would look at this and think, okay, well, surely this means that Nokron just win this set easily. But as we could see, like, they kind of got mollywopped. So it's it's certainly a bit of a tough win con for DW to work with here. But point is, focus on finding your first survivor. Focus on finding the first survivor, getting a good first chase. The, I guess, weakness of Elysium from earlier. Not Elysium. The weakness from earlier is that there wasn't a clear tunnel out, right? Zaka was definitely trying to get the tunnel out, but the survivors did a very good job preventing it. So I see a potential here for DW if you can just like hard get that tunnel out, then you should be fine. And a very cheeky hit comes through initially onto Ivan, which certainly helps your odds of those.
Yeah, it comes back down to the what we said last time, the choice to swap to iPick. Again, I don't hate the choice to swap to iPick. It just didn't really work out. But yeah, it didn't pay off. We ended up with a very low hook state. We are going to get a corner up here on Ivan, and we're going to get it down really quickly. I should point out, this is DW's third killer match of Season 10, and entering the fog for the third time as well are Shen and Vabo for Team Nokron. They both have only played 2 matches prior to this. So we got a bit of a change up on the roster. It could just be because it is a Friday rather than a Saturday. We did see that hook come in. I don't know whether it was a pain res or not, but that hook came in 1 second after that generator got doubled up on the other side of the map. Pain res did not go off, so maybe we got a pain res in the middle of the map here. I saw one down the other end. Maybe a choice, maybe a necessity based on spawning. But we did see the hook down there. It's hard to tell. Are there 3 good gens down the shack side of the map? There are. So we could maybe keep the chases down this end of the map if we can cut them off here.
I genuinely think now you just go for the tunnel out on Ivan. You're still going to have an opportunity if he runs into the mid-map to get that pain resonance gen. Your first down was about 40 seconds quicker than what Nokron were able to manage with their first down. So Ariandel looked to be in a very good spot here, provided that DW can close out this chase. Unfortunately, this is a pretty strong, well-maintained main building, and Ivan is going to have a lot of room to escape. But also, like, even if you don't get an immediate down onto Ivan, you can see that this is drawing survivor resources. Every time a survivor is not on a gen because they're being drawn to reset or body block or anything like that, it's better and better for the killer. Even if you're not able to get that second down, get that tunnel out in immediate quick time-wise, if you can just draw survivor attention, you're doing a damn fine job. Unfortunately, right now it doesn't seem you're doing that. Right now, Ivan is just running circles.
Well, there are multiple resources for survivors, right? There are pallets that get broken. There is like manpower, you could call it, like you said, people tanking hits. Like there, I mean, yeah, this is Shen not on a generator, but Ivan has been surviving a long time. This second hook is taking a really long, oh my goodness. Shen body blocks. So DW sends out the dog, and we sidestep the dog so it doesn't come in. And DW says, you know what, I've had enough of your shenanigans, Shen. I'm going to hook you down here. I might get a pain res out of it. We know there's a couple pain reses right there. Yep. So we're going to get a second hook here. A second fresh hook. Yeah, it should be close. We didn't talk about the build at all, by the way, last time, Egdar. It's the exact same build. There is Dragon's Grip on the board, but it's kind of hard. Like, DW applied it to main building, and by the time you get all the way up there, Survivor's already running away, right? So...
Yeah, the idea of the Dragon's Grip, aside from the first hit where it catches you by surprise and you can get a cheeky exposed hit, and we have seen that happen in DBDL before, but it is generally just to stop the gen being worked on. However, yeah, main building, it's very telegraphed, and they're never putting like multiple people on that gen. They're always sending the balanced landing survivor. We see the little standoff at the pallet here, and so survivor actually, it's interesting that they're actually beginning to like develop this standoff even more, because instead of just getting hit and then dropping pallet immediately, they're gonna milk every single second out of the killer that they possibly can. Beautiful little stun there. Seemed like DW didn't even know where he was going, and smash hit is gonna allow Bobo to make some good distance here. Your key targets, Ivan and Sken, and right now they are both completely fine and safe over on other sides of the map, just working generators as they please. Injury onto Bobo ain't gonna be worth a whole lot. The final 3 gens that the survivors need to escape are actively being worked on. Do remember, however, that if Bobo is caught and camped out, then, I mean, the win condition by the Ariandel survivors was very clean.
Yeah.
A hook and a camp onto Vobo, especially if you can get, say, basement or something, which right now doesn't seem likely, it's on the other side of the map, but would be pretty good for you. And you can even do something similar to Zaka. Point is, a fully camped fresh hook would win you the game here.
Not be surprised if Zaka wound up being the adrenaline player there. It does not necessarily, because they did their job. Zaka came in, took the hit, and got out of there. And so maybe it was just taking a hit. Because yeah, if we get 2 more stages on any survivors other than the ones that have been hooked so far, we will end up with a win for Ariandel here. But DW is not in great shape. This is 4 hooks was a very winnable killer for DW. Very, very winnable win condition, and we're not currently looking like it's a guarantee at this point. So very, very scary situation for DW and Ariandel. We are trying to stop that gen from getting down. Who tapped it? Did you see?
Ivan's exposed. Yeah, that'd be Ivan. Who's exposed now. Realistically, should be fine. The Dragon's Grip exposed. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Ivan. It was Vobo. So that means that Ivan is completely fine. Was healthy and is now going to be able to reset onto Sken. But still remember, Vobo not in a great spot. Sure, this pallet was good, but he already dropped it, and that dog has some jaws on it. Christ almighty. So, we're in a peculiar spot now. The survivors should not struggle to get like a 2-3 man save onto Vobo. So I find it unlikely that he's going to fully die here. However, that is also a 3rd fresh hook, meaning that I believe just 1 more hook stage onto anyone at this point will break that tiebreaker. Remember, fresh hooks are the high-breaking win condition when it's all said and done. 3 fresh hooks for DW and 4 regular hook stages will win this. So no one can die, basically. So no pressure on the survivors or anything, but no one can even think about going down here.
But we gave so much room on that unhook that now not only did they get the unhook on Vobo, but it's also, oh, Champion of Light. They also got the heal up. So we're chasing Zaka here. And I mean, again, like you said, any hook on any survivor, but all the survivors are healthy. There's no end game perks to speak of. Generator's still just cranking away at about 60%, so we got a little bit of time, but there are other gens on the map too. There's a pretty medium 3 gen down here, but there's 4 survivors alive. There's no way you can hold this. Yeah, Egdar, I am starting to. This is getting down. We need to have a good chase for our killer if Ariandel wants to come back in this. Otherwise, this is going to be a win for Nokron.
Still have a whole end game though. Say this last gen gets popped right now. Ivan is still in the corner and injured. Barring Ivan having adrenaline, which as we can see is allowed against a Houndmaster from last time, like you're still screwed here. And you're even going to try and catch out, I believe it was Zaka that actually tapped that gen and got hit with the Dragon's. What? Got hit with the Dragon's.
Champion of Light. That was Champion of Light not leaving scratch tracks. I love that play. By the way, okay, now that we're on it, I want to point out something really quickly. Vobo has adrenaline. So the fact that, like, I think that, like, I don't know why we didn't commit to that chase a second ago, but I think that DW might be aware that if you don't know who has adrenaline, if you chase the wrong survivor, get a hit, get them in the corner, and they hit adrenaline as they finish the last generator, you could lose the match like that. So I think that they're still trying to hold these generators. I think this is a losing proposition because eventually you're just going to run out of time and they're going to get the gen done. But I think that might be what the problem is. I think the reason DW dropped that chase, even though the opportunity to get it down was there, like everything you said was true. We've got an injured survivor in the corner, etc. We don't know who has adrenaline, and we know adrenaline is probably in play. So you're kind of playing Russian roulette here. Who's got the golden? Vobo hit an adrenaline hit.
But yeah, the point is DW is seeing Vobo come and take this hit, so maybe that's the maths being done. And yeah, okay, adrenaline in the corner. Oh, and this is a terrible spot for DW for the gate to be at as well. This is one which is very much within distance of whoever you try and catch. I mean, you're going to actually, you're going to be cheeky here. You're going to get an injury onto Zaka. Hold the hinder onto Vobo as long as possible. It's the gate on the other side of the map. But the problem is Ivan is healthy. You can always push the dog off of Vobo, and this is a tough situation.
This is a
very tough situation. Damn, that's gonna be barely by 1 hook stage. A win actually eked out by the Elysium survivors. That's crazy work. The adrenaline really did come in clutch.
Sorry, that was a win by Nokron versus Ariandel. There, it was a win by Nokron.
Yeah,
you had them backwards. Yeah, Zaka with 4 hooks is going to take it over DW's 3 hooks. 3 fresh. Really interesting there. I wonder what the analyst desk has to say about it. Q, what do you think about dropping those chases? It feels like we were looking for more and ended up with less.
Definitely one of those situations that it's easy to look back at hindsight with, for sure. It felt like you were hoping to feel confident with the hook stages for sure, but got to give it up to Nokron Survivors doing a phenomenal job of being able to wrap things up and be able to walk away with set number.
Welcome back, gamers. We've loaded into Bubbo for Team Ariandel on the Dredge. This is Ariandel's pick. They're going to want to come back after that. Very, very... Oh my... There's no way! I can't even start casting. Bubbo's gonna get a grab about that. That's got to be a record. That has to be the fastest down, and if it's not, it's got to be something similar to that. That is insane. Bubbo just happens to teleport to the right locker. Zaka grabbing the locker at the wrong time. Hi everybody, we're on the Dredge on Midwich Elementary School. Ariandel is trying to come back and tie up this set. They're down by 1 right now. Egdar, hi. There's lots happening, and it's been 4 seconds in.
Bubbo's Dredge is kind of the stuff of legends, and that proves it right there. You can break a record for your first down in 13 seconds. Dredge is already a freak of nature at the best of times. The average first down is 126, so you're beating the mark massively there. It's going to hugely swing your momentum here. I'm looking to the general win condition. Like, teams do not escape against the Dredge. They just don't. And getting such an early first down and an early first hook stage, generally survivors are lucky to get 4 generators done, get a 4K1. With a hook that early, I'm thinking 4K3, to be honest. I'd be very impressed if the survivors were able to amount to anything more than that. So survivors are going to play it safe, especially in Nightfall now, which has come out very quickly, especially because Bubbo's taking the chase.
Really quickly, Nightfall, because we had that injury so quickly. Interesting to point out, though, because Zaka got grabbed, the Sloppy Butcher, which is a great perk to have run on Dredge in this set, was not applied. So we basically got no gen progress to speak of because we do have Ruin on the board as well. We're going to see another tag there on Bubbo. I'm a little surprised, Egdar, that, like, I get it. Dredge is a hit and run. You want to spread around some damage, but with Zaka being, like, the survivors start together. Zaka got hooked, it was 13 seconds was that down, by the way. Zaka got hooked 13 seconds in the match. You teleport away, they instantly unhook. I'm shocked he didn't go back. Maybe it's because he was on cooldown and he figured, okay, forget it, I'll put some damage on some other survivors. But I don't know, I found that very surprising. You know, it seems to be working out okay, but I thought, like, wow, if you have a 13-second down, let's tunnel out. No? I don't know.
Yeah, sets a record for the second fastest down in DBDLeague history. The last one was Ward on Hillbilly in the Winter Circuit.
Hillbilly, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy on Billy. But regardless, Bubbo is very much ahead of schedule right now. Zaka's in a tough predicament here. At least you have the God Palette to work with, but that's going to be 1 down, several more to go, and when they're all down, yeah, but Bubbo's even more of a freak of nature as per usual. This is a massively popular set for Ariandel. They have picked this 3 times in Season X. Nokron have picked it 0. And I think we're kind of demonstrating why Zaka gets ever closer to death.
That's gonna be second hook on Zaka. So again, what I said was, oh, why are we splitting that? Well, we split up. We put multiple hits on with Sloppy Butcher, which caused our survivors to have to slow the map down, get their heals in. We do see 2 gens pop, so the survivors are catching up a little bit in the match. Let's not count them out yet. But yeah, I mean, the hit and run, splitting damage, applying Sloppy Butcher really seemed to pay off. 2 generators down is not bad. They don't seem to have either found or cared about Ruin yet. Typically, you do see them break Ruin pretty early if it's found, but they also, I would say that with this map, you won't see survivors seek it out immediately, at least until maybe they get to the 3v1. You mentioned they dropped that corner God Palette. I believe earlier we also saw the Infirmary God Palette drop, and as a result, that's going to be a blocked window. This is going to be the end. Oh, big hit take coming in from Yvonne. Big cut off there. Oh, wow. By the way, the Ruin Totem is in the auto spawn. The Ruin Totem is in the only place where there's guaranteed to be a totem spawn, right here in the library. So maybe they haven't seen it, or maybe they're just ignoring it. We're gonna live a little longer for Zaka here, but how long will remain to be seen. We see a 3rd gen hit. This is actually really good for the survivors given the start. Again, I think we might end up seeing whether Bubble might have not. Bubble might have given a little bit too much room and now given a few more of those gens. That 4K3 is now out of reach, Egdar.
3's out of reach, but I do foresee the 4K too. The Ruin is in a spot where the survivors, if they wanted to cleanse Ruin, they know where it is and would clear it. The issue is we're in Nightfall. You've actually interrupted the reset, so Ivan is now particularly vulnerable. The Ruin is still up, and you've done it again. You've done it again, you absolute freak of nature. That is another healthy survivor immediately grabbed out of a locker.
Wow.
Do you think this guy just does it for love of the game, or is he a cyborg?
I don't understand. They keep look. Okay, this feels like oh my god, it's like unknown. You don't really want to cleanse an unknown hallucination, like the teleport spawn. You don't really want to cleanse one when it's active and you can suddenly have an unknown sitting on your face, like just like popping up in your view and one tap you. And it's the same thing when the killer. It's Nightfall. You have unlimited power. Don't lock lockers. I'm sorry, it's crazy. That was. I feel like that is once. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Shame on Nokron for falling for that twice.
They do say that 2 nickels in a situation like that is a very strange amount of nickels to have, but yeah, managing to get 2 grabs there is pretty insane work, and I think that's completely secured the 4K too. All the survivors are injured, so that means Nightfall is just going to continue to charge up quicker and quicker. No Malthinker Skull in play, so not as quick as it otherwise could, but I don't think Bobo is particularly complaining about that one. Bobo's going back on a hook. The other 2 survivors are going to very much struggle to reset. Yeah, like they cannot reset. They're getting interrupted without Bobo even being in Nightfall. Things looking pretty tough for Nokron right now, and bam, immediately right back on ya. Ivan can get his way into this. Can get way into this room here, but like that's like up there with a bottom 1 pallet. So it's just too free for Bobo at that point.
I call that the psycho swing, where killers say, I don't care if there's a pallet, go ahead, drop it, I'm gonna hit you through it. That's my play. I love that play. I pub stomp with that play, and Bubbo's like, pub stomp? I do this professionally.
He's pub stomping in comp games. That's crazy.
We're getting down to the end of it here. I think your 4K2 prediction, your prophecy might be coming true here, Egdar. We're in that cycle of slug or hook pick up. Okay, now someone else go and pick up. We're gonna see it down here on Bobo. I've just been like losing track of everything that's going on. I know we picked up the slug, but now we're gonna teleport out. At least there's no grab this time. They didn't decide to lock in the killer's face this time. But yeah, I think we're going through the motions of the end of the match here. I'm not counting them out yet, but Nokron's on the ropes right now.
I think this was Mathis's law, weirdly enough. Well, I was having a discussion with him at the start of this season, actually, about how these dredge sets go, and it was something along the lines of, if the killer gets a kill by 2 gens remaining, the survivors don't escape. Simple as that. And like, as far as I'm concerned, I do not believe that has been proven wrong in any capacity. Sken's gonna die, Bobo's on the floor, Ivan's been caught out, like, immediately. You cannot safely work anything. 4K2, that is absolutely brutal there. I mean, the Dredge is our deadliest killer in Season X with showing an 86% 4K rate. This isn't entirely unexpected. Wow. Survivors, it's honestly just a toss-up of if you can complete 3 gens or 4 gens. And in this case, it's proving very decisively in the 3-gen idea. So Nokron are going to have a horrifically brutal time on their own killer side. But again, this is Dredge. Dredge is meant to be super strong. Dredge is not necessarily meant to mind control survivors into grabs, but I think they just kind of updated Bobo's hardware before the game today, and that would do it.
I was gonna say, oh no, you can't. Sorry, Bubbo. Ivan's on first hook, so you can't actually. I can't actually more either. I respect the swing. I like the theatrics of it. Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, 4K2 is very tieable, potentially beatable, but I don't know. A 13-second down. I don't know how you're gonna match that, and I can guarantee you. Don't make me a liar, Ariandel. I can guarantee you, no one's locking a locker until we got eyes or ears on the killer. That's for dang sure. But yeah, we're just gonna wait this out. We're going through the motions. You know what? I might actually throw this back. Say that
Bubba's
again?
having a nap. Bubba's having
Yeah.
a nap. It's had a long day.
I'll give it to you to have any final thoughts, and why don't we throw it back after your, why don't you throw it back to the analysts desk? They weren't able to weigh in last time, so why don't we give them a little bit extra time?
Be very blunt. Before we hand it back to the analysts. Like, I don't think this was bad play from Nokron. I think it was, and I know you cannot necessarily say this. I think it's bad luck. Like, yeah, you're against a dredge. You're gonna lock lockers. It's kind of the counterplay. That's how it works. It just happens that within the first 10 seconds, you're locked to the wrong locker. Especially because, like, you know, Dredge can teleport to, if there's 2 of them and neither of them are locked, you can teleport to either one of them. So not only is it like a 50-50 in that sense, but then it's also the odds that he'll teleport to that one specifically. I genuinely think it is just bad luck, to be honest. But I want the caster's opinions on this. Was it a misplay? Was it unlucky? Was it a secret third option that we didn't know anything about? Gonna send it right back to the analyst desk, who are gonna have some thoughts about that set.
Well, call it luck, call it skill, call it what you want, but 2 locker grabs, pretty darn impressive, but more impressive than the 2 locker grabs. Finding the first one, I mean, just seconds into the trial. Matter of fact, our second fastest down that we have seen in DBDLeague history. Fredrik, I mean, did that just set the tone for the rest of the trial? I mean, walk me through it a little bit.
Okay. Let me preface this by saying 4K2 is a good result for the survivors when your first down is 13 seconds into the match and then another locker grab happened. I almost feel like I need to explain what happened because there might be some people who aren't as familiar with Dredge who watch competitive. Yes, the Dredge can teleport between lockers. I know this sounds insane that I'm like explaining this, but I'm willing to bet there are plenty of people who have no idea what just happened. If the Dredge is hiding in a locker or is teleporting to it, and a survivor interacts with the locker in any way, including locking a locker, then the Dredge will grab the person as if they had grabbed them out of the locker. It doesn't, in the same way that grabbing someone out of a locker doesn't care about doesn't care about injury state. Same thing with the Dredge grabbing out of the locker. I cannot recall that ever happening in like as I have been watching DBDLeague. To be fair, Dredge is a quote unquote newer killer. You haven't seen him as much. It is such a rare interaction for a competitive setting for that to happen, just because it's such a specific thing. It's rare even in pub games. But I know I'm taking a while to explain this because it's just seeing it twice in one match is seeing it once is rare enough. Seeing it twice is obscene.
It's definitely wild to see, but you know, I feel like that as much as the obvious early pressure did help Bobo to be able to put on a heck of a performance, and I think important to point out was a very much needed performance to be able to bounce back after that result from set number 1. MetalBro, do you feel like there was anything else that really kind of helped lead the charge to be able to set the tone here in Trial 3?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's talk about the build for starters here. I mean, running Sloppy Butcher, Ruin, Eruption, and Corrupt Intervention. I mean, that's just like the pinnacle of a very, very strong Dredge build. Once you enter the 3v1 against Dredge, well, I mean, Corrupt Intervention is done at the start of the trial. It got 13 seconds of value, so... but that being said, Sloppy Butcher, Ruin, and Eruption are all extremely strong perks to face in the 3v1, and also the add-ons as well. Broken Doll and Fallen Shingle. I mean, Fallen Shingle we don't see very often, but it definitely provided some really good value. That being said, I think that this is what the casters may have been talking about earlier when they were saying there could be a third secret option. I mean, let's be honest, the third secret option here was definitely the locker grabs, but we'll take fourth with the build.
The build definitely helped continue to build the pressure for sure. And, you know, I feel like the start of this series is the perfect example of what we have known to come to love and enjoy about competitive DVD, the back and forth between two teams. Right now, I'm battling it out to try and set the tone for a long weekend to see who can come out on top in this bronze matchup, who walks away with that third place prize money. So, you know what? We've talked enough in between our sets here and in between our two trials here in the second set. So let's go and send it back to the casters and take another trip back into the fog.
And the amount of 13-second timers that must be playing right now is absolutely obscene. Point is, you're going to have a tough time for Nokron to beat this one. But as we know, Dredge isn't exactly a killer. Dredge ain't exactly a killer that you can push over. It's not one where the teams are expected to get out. If you're able to get out against a Dredge, you haven't just played well, you have played spectacularly. And Zaka Zaka's a damn good killer. Of course, isn't going to be getting the immediate locker grab. Not going to get the immediate locker grab.
The right place.
Yes, it's the right place, but the wrong kind of idea. Got to be quicker than that, unfortunately. Still, we're going to be looking at trying to catch Swatter out here. Also, the problem with Midwich, for Dredge, it's that most of these loops are perfect for him. Dredge, to be honest, isn't great at normal tiles. You know, your TNL walls, your pallet gym. Okay, pallet gym, sure, but like your jungle gyms, things like that. Like buildings and mobility, he's not great. But at regular tiles, where you can go one way around a pallet and then catch them out, it's not a matter of if he's going to catch you, it's a matter of when. Zaka, able to get an injury onto Swatter. Going to utilize the Malthinker's Skull here. Try and just kind of keep that injury in the back pocket. And also, because you're playing for such a tough win con, you can see the focus isn't on immediately killing Swatter. It's about keeping these gens under control. Survivors don't need to play perfectly here. They just need to complete 4 generators. After that, they can all go into a circle in the center and sing Kumbaya and let Zaka sacrifice them all. Doesn't matter. They still would have secured their dub.
So this is really a couple interesting things. First of all, I want to say to point out the fact that Bubbo played Survivor in the first round of Houndmaster. Bubbo is now being replaced by Excise. So Excise has joined the bronze medal matchup. Welcome in, Excise. On another note, directly into the match, interesting to point out the build. Almost perfect play there. Well, Ipik, I don't know if there is perfect play to not get hit there if the killer plays it right, but Ipik played that really well. Managed to get full distance there. The build, sorry, no ruin. We're running pop and eruption, so that can be really good if you're spurting around some downs and kicking some generators. But it is gonna kind of play against the Dredge's natural ability to be undetectable, unpredictable, and run around on different. Really good pallet play there, and run around and attack from all areas of the map. So, very interesting change in perk there. I don't know if I like it. What do you think? I think ruin over pop, but I don't know what you think.
So with pop, your first down needed to be quicker than this. Even before Bubbo came in and absolutely destroyed our averages, that was still a 228 down, which is still a minute behind schedule. Like, even if we throw the last set out completely. So Zaka's behind schedule. The first generator's been completed before the first hook has come out, which again, like, it sounds like we're being really harsh on Zaka, but to be honest, when you're a Dredge, you're kind of expected to put up those ludicrous game-winning numbers. In the meantime, Nightfall has popped, so I was going to have to play very cautious. There's no real way to get a safe unhook onto Ipik here, and they kind of recognize this. Swatter eats up a hit. It's hit tanking, it's doable against a Dredge, but especially if he's in Nightfall, he's probably just going to cut you off by teleporting to a lock in front of you anyway. So it don't mean a whole lot. And you're actually going to play for another down onto Swatter, which is fair enough, but obviously that means that Ipik gets to live for a bit longer. Again, you can't... this kind of makes sense because you can't reset Ipik safely. Like, look right there. You see all those heartbeats? Zaka is on you like white on rice.
That was a really interesting little mind game. I really liked that. I'm gonna actually have to go back and watch that back. It was like setting down the remnant and then letting go and teleporting back to the remnant, but then swinging through the pallet. Very patient there by Zaka. We're gonna get the second down on Ipik as the unhook comes in on Swatter. Okay, so this is kind of working now. I still don't love the fact that no generator all the generators are sitting static, have not anything that isn't regressing, won't start regressing until you get over there and kick it, which kind of takes time away from these really quick chases that we're having. So again, time will tell, but good quick stun there by Excise. Time will tell. Oh, we teleport back to the unhook, and we're gonna try and get this tunnel out really quickly, Egdar.
Why wouldn't you? It being pulled in a million directions, fortunately Dredge has a little more sway in these matchups. It's the survivors who are going to be constantly on the back foot. It's a refreshing change from being bullied so often. Pallet's still up here, however. Ipik's going to be able to utilize it at least for one good swing to make some distance here. Perfect timing for Excise to come and take the hit in. Nightfall isn't up, so you're not going to be able to easily cut off Ipik. You do buy him some more time. The gen progress has been really slow. Slightly disappointing from the survivors, to be completely honest. Hardwell almost completed that one up top, but did get interrupted in the process. Honestly, I think the other survivors, especially Ipik, I see that they're focusing on gens. I think they need to prioritize resetting Ipik at minimum. Like, aside from that, you can keep the other survivors injured if it means to focus on gens, fair enough, but like, just please heal Ipik. Now Nightfall started, however, and suddenly that job is nigh impossible.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, okay, they got him. Yeah, Sloppy Butcher makes this really hard to reset your team when if everybody's injured. By the way, all those hit tanks are really great. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place with my thoughts here. Reset Ipik, but I don't think you're gonna be able to get a full reset in. Although they do heal Swatter as well. But with everybody taking hits and trying to keep Ipik alive, that lets Nightfall happen a lot faster. I'm holding my breath here. Okay, that lets Nightfall happen a lot faster, which is where Zaka gets the premium on their power. So, okay, we're building a little house back here.
I mean,
Excise is moving
That's all
in.
Excise. Yeah, like Excise is going down here, and he knows it. But this is such an awkward tile for the killer because so much time is bought for the survivors. In fact, time was bought for both Swatter and Ipik to heal up. I'm sure that the gens are flying now. Yeah, there's one up top that was regressed a little bit. Hardwell's going to complete. Pie condition looks to be relatively imminent because no one's dead yet. As precarious a position that survivors are in as Nightfall ends now, they're going to be fine to continue to bully these generators out. Excise is fine if he gets hooked once. He's probably even fine if he gets hooked twice. He don't really care. He's got hang time, and that hang time is a valuable resource that he can use to extend the game a little bit. I have no doubt that there will be at least a tie here. Survivors can, in all of this chaos, find one more generator.
There's two gens very high progress. This one here and the one, well, okay, this one's regressed a lot. Sorry, but I was gonna say, yeah, the generator downstairs and upstairs here are both very progressed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Keep going. I apologize.
Yeah, fortunately, Zark is able to come back, remove Hardwell from the equation, and also just continue to regress that gen.
And that generator does pop there, so that is going to be the tie condition. There's a couple generators almost done. This is looking like a win for Ariandel if we don't, if something doesn't change here. We've spread around the hooks a lot. We spread around the hooks. We've got fresh hooks on all of our survivors, but no kills, and I think that might end up being the game changer here for Zaka. That gen down there also has a lot of entity claws around it, so it's running out of kicks. I think Egdar, I had a little bit of an internet hiccup. Are you back? Are you good?
Yes. I've been seeing everything that's going on, no worries about it. So they're able to get the tie condition, fair enough. Now Hardwell and Ipik are in dangerous position. Swatter injured as well. It's so easy to just spread out these hits, and of course, as you said, Sloppy Butcher on all of them as well. Ipik, you're looking like you actually want to be involved in the proceedings there. Not where I'd choose to go, to be perfectly honest. We're actually going to run Hardwell into a spot to try and buy a little more time for everyone else. There's one factor that's unaccounted for, and that's Excise, the only healthy survivor, the only one right now who might actually have some level of agency against Zaka as he continues to dive around to try and find these survivors. He's able to do a good job of it. yeah, Pikz still here. Should be going down soon. I do wonder, like, how the gens are progressing from people like Swatter and Excise, especially because now Hardwell and iPick are on the floor. It's going to actually prioritize the killing iPick. In the meantime, is there a potential for pickup onto Hardwell? Yes, there is. And Excise is about 75% on the final generator needed to win.
These are two generators that are very progressed. It's this one and the one downstairs by the courtyard that are both severely close to popping, and they're either out of kicks or close to out of kicks. So it's getting Zaka's running out of time here. Like we need the other 3 slugged right now. If we don't slug everybody can't kick it anymore. That is a 95% generator that will never be lower than 95. This is probably over. One of these injured survivors could potentially even just go upstairs and work on it while the killer's downstairs chasing the healthy Excise. I can't see a world where this doesn't end up as a win for Ariandel. I think that we should have maybe prioritized the tunnel out, but yeah, I don't know. Spreading hooks. I mean, again, like I said this last match, we should have prioritized slugging, tunneling out Zaka, but then we wound up spreading damage and it wound up working. So I'm just waiting for that ding to happen. This generator has way less progress. Go upstairs. You gotta go upstairs right now.
Every gen is at the limit, basically. Now, Excise does get a bit greedy on this one. So there is a window of opportunity here. Because, yeah, especially because Nightfall is now going to begin. But there's the ding, the key thing that we need.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Now, here's the thing. Like, the rest of the survivors just completely fall over here. Like they do not escape, or at least I'm fairly certain they don't escape. I've been very wrong before, haven't I? But like, they can just completely fall over here, and that's fine for them. It was always going to be tough, this matchup. Ariandel favor this set a lot more than Nokron does, and Ariandel, Bubbo's Dredge is like genuinely something freaky, something of legend. So it was always going to be tough to contend with that. It was always going to be tough to contend with the 13-second down. Nokron did give it a good attempt. Zaka specifically gave it a very good attempt, but unfortunately, Survivors continue to try and bully out. They try and bully out the final gen for style points more than anything else. To maybe adjust our averages in the background. Maybe to, what is it? Maybe to break the Dredge's law, or Mathis's law, as I'd call it.
I think obviously we'll see what happens. This is the generator that has low progress. I think that they may end up getting the generator just because it's so high progress and they can't kick it anymore. But you never know. But again, it's all kind of a moot point. Oh, good teleport back here. It's all kind of a moot point because this match is now essentially over as far as who scores and wins. Good body blocks. Yeah, if you can't stand there too much longer, Hardwell, you're gonna get downed here. And now we're looping with friends. Yeah, there you go. Got the gen. Now, can we get outs though? Can we ruin that 4K that we talked about? That 4K record, where it's the most 4K'd killer in the game. Oh, they're both here. Maybe not. Looks like probably not.
Yeah,
no, that's gonna be a 4K zero.
Literally, it's insane. Before this match, the 4K rate was like 85%. This match, the last trial sent it to 86%, and I think now we're gonna send it to like 87, 88%.
Yeah.
I'm not good with numbers, dude. I just yell at DBD. But
close enough.
Everyone's gonna go down. Everyone's gonna go down here. Despite Zaka getting the 4K, it is very much a Pyrrhic victory. It's been a phenomenal job, specifically by Bubbo. You can't really sing the guy's praises enough.
Yeah, well, again, I think I didn't. It's funny you say that. I feel like I didn't probably sing it enough last match. I was talking about like the locker grabs and the spreading damage and stuff like that, but there were some awesome, amazing game sense moments by Bubbo in Bubbo's killer match where just like, obviously teleporting to the right spot multiple times to get grabs is game sense. It's a little bit of luck / a little bit of like gutsy, wrong, risky maneuvers by the survivors, but it doesn't do nothing if you teleport to the wrong one. So, like you said, Zaka's just looking to, I thought Zaka was going to hop in there and have a nap, but that's not the case. That is going to be, now we are 1-1. Nokron takes the first round, Ariandel takes the second, and now we're going to be coming up next with round 3, but let's kick it back to Q over at the analyst desk.
Well, there it is. We're off to the rubber match here. Set number 3 tied up at 1 apiece. And I had mentioned at the top when we were talking about the killer pool, I would really love to see things go all 5. And it's already cooking up to be a pretty darn good opening set here, or sorry, opening matchup here for our championship weekend. Before we do, get ready to head into set number 3 here, which, by the way, we are going to be off to ARP, Azerov's resting place, for set number 3 for the artist.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are on our 3rd killer of this bronze medal matchup. We are looking at Zaka, as usual, on the artist here on Azerov's resting place, ARP, loading into this classic, I say classic match. It's interesting. Artist is our most played killer of DBD season 10. Currently, up until this very moment, they were tied with Unknown, but as of this very second, we have seen more artists because this will be our 33rd and 34th artist match. We find Pikz on the top side of the map, and we're going to chase it straight down. You can see the survivors are already working their way down to the other end of the map. And ARP, interesting map, interesting matchup with artists. Egdar, what do you think is going to happen here? Oh, that's going to be a down.
Yeah, I was gonna say what I think happens is Pikz gets like publicly executed for the entire world to see. That's a brutal one there. I mean, like you expect to have more to work with, and the problem with ARP is that, like, especially in that middle section of the map, what you do best against artists is distance. And the middle section of the map is just cluttered tiles. Against some killers, that's great. What, you tell me that I have 1,000,000 tiles to run like a trapper or something like that? Brilliant. Artist, like, is kind of gonna hit you. You just want to make distance. You want to look for any excuse to just run far away from her. One, make those birds less likely to hit, but Zaka is proving to be sniper elite with this level of aim so far. And that's not really going to be an option for you. So Hardwell also getting found out near this hook. Interesting, the hook comes out on this bottom side of the map. This means that it's going to be incredibly tough to save. I'm actually surprised Zaka's like left this hook at all.
He doesn't make this. He doesn't make this.
No, he's not able to stop the unhook. He's able to get a trade, but he's not able to stop the unhook. Pikz is going to have to get hunted down again. It's very popular for artists to get their first hook and then just like completely chill on that side of the map because nothing is going to stop them. Now we can see that Bobo is here attempting to take a hit for the time being. Down came down in 56 seconds, which is 29 seconds faster than average. So Zaka on good pace right now. Got the down onto Swatter, but really wants Pikz dead, and wants Pikz dead like immediately.
So interesting. That's gonna be a death right there. Yeah, man, perfect bird placement by Zaka. Fantastic plays. Very interesting. So where ARP, Azerov's resting place, you will often see. Where is this? Is this the middle gen? No, is this the middle gen? Sorry, because I was just about to talk about generator. Okay, that is the middle gen. We're seeing a very. Sometimes you'll get a 4 gen up one end of the map, but this is a very 3-1-3. 3 on either end of the map and 1 in the middle. The middle gen is done. The gen nearest to this hook is done. So the main building side of the map is where the only potential 3 gen stands right now. And you can see that, oh wow, sprint burst, yeah, last second. You can see Zaka wants to finish out this camp out, but if the survivors can get the generator down, main building done, while this tunnel out / camp out comes through, then the survivors will be in a pretty good position to close out the match and get some escapes, but at the same time, Artist is pretty deadly at any distance.
Yeah, she has so much effective reach. Obviously, it's a ban perk in DBDL, but that's why things like Deadman Switch would be so good on her. It's mainly the idea of you can control without even being there. Like, you can keep these gens slowed down without having to get a hook, without having to push survivors off them, without having to kick them, without even having to think about being near them. Pikz very much dead here. Got publicly executed live on camera, and then actually lasted a long while. And a fun fact, that is Survivor 55 from Castlevania, Trevor Belmont joining DBDLeague for the first time. Unfortunately, was the first one to be killed, so he might want to maybe like return to his own universe. I don't know.
I was shocked because we had you have to forgive me. It was Cynic during their final match of the season. We're committed to getting all the survivors into the season by playing as many as possible. I know it was just one of them. I just can't off the top of my head remember who it was. I think it was Lusty. But anyways, so it's interesting. There are any new survivors to be had. We are getting a hook down the side of the map. I missed the generator that popped, but I'm pretty sure it was down this end of the map. So I think we probably got a 2-2 split. So survivors have a hook at a 3v1, but also Killer has split gens. So positives and negatives for both sides right now, right?
Gen split's pretty horrific. They actually, they sent someone for the save onto Bubbo. Meanwhile, the Shack generator is being worked on this entire time. And like, I did say before that Zaka can interrupt that gen, but he can't really contest it. That's the double-edged sword of Artist, and actually why she doesn't have a very high 4K rate in Season X. Only like 35-ish% of the time is she actually going to get that 4K. So if you're able to do that as Zaka here, then you put Nokron in a spectacular position to put themselves on match point.
Bubba was playing fantastic today. I was gonna throw this out there. Bubba was having a fantastic match, like fantastic day, both as killer and survivor. Like that there, Zaka had Bubba swarm with the Dire Crows, put up some Dire Crows to hit the second hit, so we dodged the pallet, but then we, instead of throwing the pallet and taking the second bird hit, we hit the window and cleansed the pallet, like, because we would have had to throw the pallet and we would have stopped the dispelling of the birds. Really heads up play there. It's so easy to, there's so much happening and so easy to make the wrong mistake out of, maybe panic isn't maybe the right word, but out of, indecision. And Bubba lasted a really long time there, allowed Swatter to get a 4th generator done. Hardwell is working a generator, I believe, down this end of the map here, and Zaka's gonna come down and try and gut that down. Was it main building here? It was, in fact, main building, so we're gonna see what's happening here.
He needs to understand his expectations here and try and think, okay, what can I realistically accomplish right now? It seems like the survivors are going to be able to reset Bubbo off that hook. Hardwell is injured right now, but does have the deja vu. Yes, it's only a small buff to the generators, I believe 6%, but in these crazy situations can make all the difference. So now he's in chase, so he's not exactly working on many generators for the time being. He's also been shoved in the corner of this map, which means he's not going to be able to hold W particularly effectively. He's just going to have to go die in the corner. Try and buy as much time as possible for Swatter and Bubbo to complete a gen on the top side. But realistically, I think they should be able to. We're going to see I believe we're going to see a pain res come out here to interrupt Bubbo. So that is a good few percent now gone from that generator. Bubbo is in a precarious spot as well, especially being harassed by crows from a distance now. Is the Death Hook injured survivor? I'm somewhat interested in the fact that Swatter actually didn't heal Bubbo off hook, instead just prioritized completing the generators. Because Bubbo needs to play very, very safe right now. If not, Bubbo can have a very quick chase, ends very quickly, and then bam, the 4K looms. Even if all the generators are done, it's still far from ideal to be 4K'd against a nurse. Sorry, not a nurse, an artist.
Well, it's very interesting, actually, and we're coming into it here. So the survivors were playing it very textbook, but I say that with a little bit of an asterisk next to it. You had Swatter hovering around healthy, looking for saves, while Bubba was working on the opposite side of the map. And there it goes. Working on the opposite side of the map, trying to get the generator done. So as soon as you pressure the generator, the unhook comes in for free. Swatter's been going back and forth, very textbook. Here's where the asterisk comes in. The problem was that, like you said, when you don't heal Bubbo, well, suddenly that plan of, well, I'll get the unhook and you work the gens, it's 2-on-1 now. So they are doubling this out, and they're going to get the generator. So they managed to get it done, but now the survivors are in a rough spot. We want Hardwell is an easier down, being injured, but Swatter is our fresh hook. So I'm going to guess we're going to go for Swatter. If we want to let something get out the door, we probably just want to let Hardwell's two.
I mean, also Swatter's going to be contesting the exit gate, right? So it's a little riskier to get Swatter. But the first hit's going to be easy. Like, he's dead zoned. He can't make anything. Now you just need to get a competent second hit. That would be a fresh hook and 3 stages, like, at worst. At best, you could even try and catch Hardwell, maybe positioning cheekily for the unhook and end up catching him out as well. And it looks like Swatter and Hardwell are going to separate. Hardwell is going to go over... Hardwell's going to go over to this exit gate. It has no lights on it. I think
he was going the other. No, he was going the other way.
Okay.
Zaka had a heads-up play to watch the crossover, but he saw the scratch marks, but the scratch marks were headed from this side over to there, and Hardwell's gonna get out. Yeah, I was shocked he went that way because I thought it was very clear to me. And yeah, Hardwell gets out the door. Really heads-up play. I don't know. I want to call it a misplay by Zaka. It's kind of hard to tell when scratch marks are coming or going, but definitely. Oh, perfect camera angle there. Thank you very much, Zaka. It's kind of hard to tell if when the cameras when the scratch marks are coming and going, but I thought it was pretty clear to me. So, very heads-up play for Hardwell to cross back over and go to that door there, Egdar.
Sometimes you need to play psychological warfare on your opponent. So the 4K is going to be denied from Zaka. However, it's still honestly, it's still a pretty strong performance. 10 stages is a cut above average here. 3 fresh, sorry. No, 4 fresh actually. So 4 fresh hooks, 10 stages at the end here. It's a pretty good result, but these teams are a bit better than just pretty good. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk, who are going to have some thoughts and comments about that matchup.
There's some crows in this house. There's some crows in this. I always love watching me a good artist set, man. I feel like Zaka did a really good job of being able to put on display the type of pressure that you can really put down with the artist there. So that's at least our first trial done and dusted here in set number 3. We had seen a relatively quick down as far as from Zaka early on, but I was kind of curious. We had seen the decision to have to both. You kind of had that whole camping tunneling situation for that first out. Do you feel like maybe trying to prioritize pressuring gens there might have allowed for you to accrue up? Maybe I want to see a few more hook stages because 10's obviously really strong, but maybe you could have been able to walk away with the 4K. What's your thoughts there, Fredrik?
Artist is a tricky killer to strategize against. It takes a lot of very careful macro planning, and on top of that, you never really know what kind of artist. Okay, different players have different play styles, and they can swap it up in between games. You can end up with an artist who really tries to go for snipes, shotgun plays, firing out multiple crows at the same time, or they can try to reserve their crows to move the survivor into a place where it's easier to left click. You have so many different personalities. I feel like artist is a killer where a person's personal preference really gets to shine. Unlike, I don't think that every killer has that same kind of personality to go with it. But I think that whatever strategy you pick with the survivors must answer whatever the artist is doing. And we were talking about this a little bit as the game was happening, but this is a very good result for an artist. And I think that these sorts of results often are indicative of difficulty answering an artist's play style. You saw a really nice mix of play styles on this time. I believe you saw long range hits. You saw using the crows to corral the survivor into a place where it's easy to get a left click, to get an M1. Excuse me, I've been made fun of by Rob for calling it a left click. But Rob, do you agree with me?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
Yeah, I think that my thought is that it was a bit of a failure on the part of Ariandel to adjust to the playstyle of Zaka.
100%. I mean, Zaka's bird placements were really strong in chase, but let's be honest here. Hardwell getting out of the door puts Nokron in a corner. They now need to get more people out of the gates, and that's not going to be very easy. But overall, I do agree with you, though. I do 100% agree with you.
So we saw
I
what Zaka would. Oh, go ahead if you have more to add. Actually, sorry.
Oh yes. Just one last little thing. This is a very good result on the artist, and I feel like just solid play could potentially get Nokron the win, right? Like just stick to the plan.
Zaka definitely came out, was able to put a really good foot forth there in that 5th trial. I was kind of curious though, MetalBro, because it felt like we had seen some decent resistance from the Ariandel survivors there. Was there something that kind of stood out to you in that regards?
Oh, absolutely. Comparing this to their matchup with Elysium last weekend, it really feels like Ariandel has come in full swing with the altruism. I mean, they're not overplaying into altruism, but they're using it very craftily. They are providing body blocks and recovering from very dire situations quite well, actually. Whereas last weekend with Elysium, it felt like that was their point of contention.
Well, it's time to see who's going to be able to walk away from set number 3 and put themselves onto series points here in our first series of our championship weekend. And, I'm still hoping we end up seeing the full 5 sets, but whatever team ends up coming on top here does have the ability to avoid that Deathslinger set in set number 5 if they can keep that winning momentum going. So, how about we go ahead and send it back to our casters and take another trip back into the fog?
Back into the fog we go, back into the land of crows. Obviously, Zaka was able to put in a pretty good performance. 10 stages. It's not the 4K that you were quite hoping for, but it's still pretty damn good. Nokron seem in a prime position to go 2-1 up here. Whoever wins this set is going to put themselves onto match point. It's also not impossible to draw this set. There were 4 fresh hooks, so that tiebreaker's not going to come out. Build's mostly the same, but we do see a fun new perk from the animatronic, Phantom Fear. Anyone within the killer's terror radius who looks at them is going to have their aura revealed, and bam, right there. You're able to find your first survivor very, very quickly. Now, regardless, Zaka was able to get the first down obscenely quickly last time. I believe it was 20 seconds above the average. Pikz is going to have to pull off something similar here if Ariandel want a shot in the Artist set.
Very interesting note. This is Pikz's fifth killer match of the season. Sorry, my words escaped me there for a second. This is Pikz's 5th killer match of the season, so we'll have to see how they're doing today. Also interesting, Zynox has entered the fog, so that is going to be Bobo sitting back down and letting the teammates go at it. So welcome back with Zynox to the bronze medal matchup. Missing a lot of birds here is Pikz, and Zynox is staying fancy free and bird free and not taking any hits there. A little bit of an add-on difference too when we're talking about the build there, Egdar. Last time we had the severed hands, which is pretty standard, and we had the egg add-on that gave you a fourth potential bird. We instead have the carrion, the festering carrion, which is the quicker recharge on your power. So Zynox does take his first hit, but is working this pretty good. And look at that gen progress, Egdar.
Yeah, this time it's absolutely flying. This is the problem for Artist. It's like you have a lot of good tools, but not a lot of great tools. Your chase is your strongest part by far. Your map pressure is good, but you have to prioritize getting your down first before you can start using those crows to pressure aside the map. It looks like Ivan and Sken are 2-manning one generator while Zaka completes the other, and just like that, 2 shotgun bolts right to the head of Pikz that he's going to have to deal with. And yeah.
Oh,
fortunately,
no.
you know that no other gens are being progressed, but also that's like lost value from pain resonance, right? Something which could regress 20%. Yeah, it could regress 20% and it regresses like 2 instead. It's not perfect, but obviously Pikz, like it still helps a bit, of course, but it's far from an ideal use of that otherwise very strong immense perk value.
Sorry, I was my heart broke as a killer main there. I saw like the odds of you getting 4 pain reses is pretty low when you have a rough start, right? Like often, like if you gotta kill everybody, you gotta get everybody downed and hooked before the gens pop. So you're not always gonna get max there. But if you're gonna get value out of pain res, it's going to be from your tunnel out. That was the least useful pain res, I think, in DBD history. So unfortunate for iPick here. We've gone really far away from those generators down the shack side. Ivan's doing a really good job. Zynox has been unhooked and is healthy. I don't think this is a winning strategy from our killer here.
If you're not going to pick up on the perk value, you pick up on the chases, right? And in terms of picking up, the first down was 2 minutes in, which is behind the mark by quite a fair amount, actually. Average first down is 125 on the Artist, so 35 entire seconds ahead of time. You're able to get this hook onto Ivan. Aside
Guarding
from this,
the wrong...
I don't know exactly what you have to work with.
We're guarding the wrong side of the map. Like, listen, these guys are better players than me. I don't always know what's going through their head, but iPick gets a down on Zynox, hooks them down on Shack's side of the map where there is a 3-gen, then goes all the way down the other side of the map, downs Ivan, takes the pain res up there, and then proxy camps the top side of the map where there's only 2 generators. The survivors could have literally just popped the 3 bottom side gens and left. They did not even, obviously they won't do that. They'll go save and stuff, but they didn't have to save Ivan at all. And strategic wise, like, forget the micro play, macro play, the decision making here, I just don't understand exactly what the game plan is. And I think the survivors are definitely playing their game now. This is no longer the killer's game. This is the survivors' game to lose.
These gens are not just flying, they have actually sprouted wings and are leaving the map. That's how insane the progress on them is for the time being. You're going to be able to catch Zaka over at Shack here. Remember that the gen that's actually being worked on is the 2-person gen by the main building. So there is no doubt, and you even get a head on, just for good measure there. Like, every one of these survivors are in the perfect position that they need to be. More than enough time is being bought for this final generator to be completed, which it will be any second now. And any second now, well, this second now. You don't care about Zaka, realistically, if you're the rest of Nokron. You can have everyone else huddle up, get them all out. There is no world in which Ariandel is able to bring this one back. It's all about the first down, right? This one, 2 minutes, was not just 35 seconds behind the average, but 1 minute and 4 seconds behind Zaka's first down. The early game is the most important part of any match, by far, without question.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But I think, again, I got to throw out there, like, I don't want to harp too hard on iPick here. And it's actually interesting. If you look at who plays Survivor and Killer, all 3 matches today, Ariandel's Killer has not played the Survivor match. So Bubbo, who's typically killing for, is the heavy lifter for Ariandel, played Survivor and iPick didn't. And that's been consistent throughout. But yeah, I think that the strategic play, even with a slower down, if you can manage to hold that 3-gen and keep your tunnel out down there, the survivors are going to work against you. The survivors are going to try and body block and allow the tunnel out to get down the other end of the map for sure. That's going to happen, no question. But spreading some words there. Poor Zaka left on hook here. They're obviously going to try and do their best to get the survivor down the other end of the map, but don't give it to them for free. I think ditching our tunnel out and running up the other end of the map was a calculated error, and it cost them. And this was not even close. This was a blowout by Nokron. So Nokron is going to go up 2-1. They are going to be set up for to win the overall best of 5, the first of 3 best of 5s. Analysts, Q, what do you guys got for us?
Well, that's definitely 2 very distinct differences when we talk about results, right? I mean, a 4K 10 and then 1K with just simply 6 hook stages. Now, obviously, we had talked about in between trials that was a darn good artist trial and trial number 5. But I'm kind of curious here, Fredrik. What did you see was different maybe even just from the killer aspect, as far as what Zaka did to be able to walk away with such an impressive result, to compared to iPick, who was only able to secure 1 kill?
Well, like I was talking about in the previous campfire chat, there are quite a few ways to play Artist, and um, in the first trial, we saw a very generalist style of Artist where you have pressure on gens from a distance, you're using it in chase, you're using it for shotgun for damage, just every possible way that you can use the Dire Crows, we saw it being used. iPick took a much more aggressive style, and while as our casters mentioned, Artist is a very scary killer in chase because her threat of her Dire Crows means that if you pick the wrong place to go, she's going to punish you hard. Our Artist is a very punishing killer when you're a survivor, but iPick just could not finish the chases, and I think it has to do with the way that Ariandel chose their routes. Like, their routing was always multiple steps ahead, thinking about where they are going to go next and how that's going to look and which angle they have to come at it from. And that meant because iPick wasn't using the crows to put pressure on the generators, that meant that the longer chases and the good survivor play just opened up way too much space. It was as simple, I think, as Ariandel doing a very good job picking their chase routes.
Definitely felt like the survivors were doing a phenomenal job of being able to keep themselves upright. One thing I couldn't help but notice, MetalBro, a perk that we don't see much often in DBD League, Phantom Sphere, did help identify an early target relatively quickly into the trial. But even with that, unable to establish a early down. Kind of walk me through your thought process as far as, one, Phantom Sphere in a build, since we haven't really seen that before, and kind of what went wrong there in that last trial.
Absolutely. Phantom Fear, yeah, not used very often in DBDLeague. It's actually its very first use, so we got to all be a spectacle to that, so that was very cool. Phantom Fear on paper, definitely a very good perk. I mean, it helps you identify people who are in your terror radius, and that can definitely lead to an early first down, but it just didn't happen this match. Nokron Survivor play was just really on top of it this match. I mean, they were taking chases to very strong loops. They were using pallets very conservatively, making sure to make loops last as long as they needed to. I mean, it just felt like Nokron survivors were living in his head. I mean, they were making all the right decisions, winning 50s, etc., etc. I mean, just everything was just really in their favor this match. Phantom Fear just didn't do as much as you can really allow it to do. But that being said, it was still really cool to see it being used for the first time in this match. And also, the Leshen skin, not the first time used, but nice to see it returning. iPick has become synonymous with this skin in DBDLeague recently.
It's really cool.
Well,
really
we
cool.
are now 3 trials down, or 3 sets down. We're off to set number 4. Luckily, it's a killer that we've seen some quick matchups in, right? No long drag amount matchups. All
Get
right.
comfy, everyone.
Let's go ahead and get ready
comfy.
for the Wild Wild West, the deadest of dogs, as we head off to trial number 7. Casters, take it away.
I was the one. I was here. I remember the 40-minute Singularity match. I don't think we'll be seeing that today. That was an interesting one, but we are loading in Bubbo. Bubbo is going to be manning Hux right now, loading into Dead Dog Saloon. Survivors of Nokron, Ivan, Zynox, Vabo, and Zaka. So we are seeing Shen hit the bench for the first time today. And we're going to load in, and the thing I always look at, Egdar, when we first load into Dead Dog Saloon is, what do these generators look like? And already I see something nice for the killer. We've got one down the end of the street here. We've got Gallows and 2 more Desert Gens. The survivors are going to have a hard time breaking that 3/4 gen.
There's a real network of network of cameras that you can set up here for Bubbo, and you know all the spots because you have the experience. The interesting thing about this set is that Ariandel, they've played a couple of Singularity sets this season. Not many, I believe about 2, maybe 3. Nokron have not. Nokron have not played a single Singularity match for all of Season X. So they're going to be behind with regards to experience playing this on the Survivor side and the Killer side. You've hoped that they've been scrimming it a lot as well, but it's certainly a unique type of set. Now, interesting strategy from the Survivors, they're just going to opt to stealth out the Corrupt. Because they know that the area without the Corrupt, it's too locked down by the cameras of the Singularity, by the constant pressure that you can exert onto those generators, that instead they're going to wait until the map becomes a bit more expansive and they have a little bit more freedom of choice to work with.
I like that idea, actually, because if you can split, like, the reality is you can be everywhere at the same time as Singularity, but while the Singularity is not human, Bubbo is, and you can only have so
Allegedly.
much.
He's
Allegedly.
alleged.
So,
we saw the
right.
Dredge gameplay.
We don't want to make definitive statements here. But yeah, you're gonna. That's funny. Oh, good little snipe between the cactus there. Cacti. Yeah, no. Once your attention is split a little bit, good tag really quickly there on Zaka. Once your attention's split a little bit, you're gonna be able to work some generators and pull them away from this 3/4 gen, and then hopefully, maybe, possibly crank out some gens, get some progress there. This main building is a nightmare for most killers. Singularity is not as bad, but it still kind of sucks. So we'll have to see what happens there. We are using our Sloppy Butcher. You will see Soma Family Photo has put Zaka into Deep Wounds, so that's going to be something that will come into play maybe a little bit later. I don't know if we keep this chase going. We're trying to catch Zaka out, and they're starting to crank out those gens. So, yeah, now we're gonna maybe spread around some biopods here.
Yeah,
Oh, so
and you're being curbed with the range there, not quite having enough on the biopods to cover the main building. It seems like the stealth strategy actually worked well for the Survivors, which is interesting because all the gens that they're working on aren't even on the side of the map where the corrupted gens were. Well, Zynox, yes, but Vobo and Ivan, they waited the corrupt and then just went back to the non-corrupt side to complete the generators. First down, because of that, comes in relatively slowly. 2 minutes 53 seconds. When we compare that to generally how Singularity does, it's about 4 minutes. Now, granted, that was skewed by one particularly intriguing set that we still don't like to talk about here. But it's still like the general.
Oh, a lot faster than last time. But I'm sorry. Anyway, it was like 16, 19 minutes last time or something stupid like that.
But the last time that we saw Singularity, a record was set for the slowest first down in history. It was wonderful. However, Bubbo playing a lot more aggressively. Isn't going to let anything loose. First generator completed now, and you're going to be chasing Zynoxu out the main building. I believe that the baseball glove add-on is going to aid your overclock a little bit. It's going to make it slightly longer. So, like, Singularity's chase is weird because he doesn't have a chase power per se, in that his power just allows him to brute force chases a lot easier. You can just get pallet stunned easily. You can just break the pallets quicker. You can catch up to the Survivors. It is the definition of brute force. Now, oftentimes, in a spot like that, we would see someone come out with breakout, but the rule committee did recently just change that, so we're not seeing any cheeky breakout plays from Survivors dying in that corner. Instead, it's almost a guaranteed basement hook that comes out. Zynox's going to be eating that one. Singularity is good at controlling all areas of the map. This includes the basement. Remember, one way in, one way out. A killer with this level of map control is going to love that idea.
I'm so glad I did not know they banned that. I was getting flashbacks to the breakout plays from that comp corner back behind the main building. I'm glad you knew that because I actually was not aware that had happened. So good change. I like it. It was a little sad to watch. So strategy-wise, Bubbo is not worrying too much about a tunnel out. We've got 2 fresh hooks out there so far. And now it looks like we might be oh my goodness, the teleport comes in on top of Bobbo's head before the EMP can go off. And I think we're going to make it before we reach this window. Very close, but Bobbo does go down. Yeah, this is going to be our third fresh hook, I believe. And we still have 3 pain res as well, because obviously Zynox got hooked in the basement, which was not a pain res hook. We still have those 3 generators back by behind Gallows in the desert area, and the one down by Water Tower. So we're in a pretty good spot here. It's really interesting. Bubbo's splitting hooks. Bubbo's taking chases at main, which you kind of like to avoid sometimes with some killers, but sometimes you can't get around it. And yet still we're managing to maintain this fortune. Very interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
I just got
maintain.
I just got word. It was 19 minutes was the longest down, not 16. In my head, I thought it was 16. Sorry, please go ahead.
Long time's a long time. I'm not exactly gonna be I'm not gonna be too direct with the numbers. Point is, average was skewed a little bit. Bubbo, however, being able to use quite a lot of control over this map right now. He's got every angle covered, and I think this is the mark of experience on Singularity. Not the same as skill, necessarily, though we know for a fact that Bubbo is skilled, but experience means you've been in situations where you're being ran main building before, and you'd think, oh, I could really use a camera here, which means that every single time in the next couple of matches, it's going to be set up. That's a very quick chase, however, onto Zynox. He's able to take it to a good location, as far away from the active generators as possible. And now we do have somewhat of a 3-gen setup, with the adage that 2 of these gens are on high ground. And it's odd to control them, because, like, in theory, your biopods mean that, like, every setup is a 3-gen, like, surely. But this one is odd because there's always the chance that survivors just kind of rush in with EMPs. Say they work on the saloon generator, they rush with EMPs, you can't set up any cameras to contest them, and you just have to move yourself up there. At that point, you're no better than a regular M1 killer.
This is really... So that was... Zynox did a really good job there taking the chase away from the active generators, like you said, and that wound up breaking. It's still, like you said, it's not a bad gen split here. That was a really, really clever... So Bubba was threatening that teleport on Ivan over and over and over again, and then wound up just... Okay, I'll eventually do it if you want to sit there and work the generator. We get the unhook coming in on Zynox. Zynox is on death hook. This is getting a little scary for our killer here. I don't know if Bubba's going to be able to get a 4K in this match, but this is helpful. If we can get a hook deep in this corner, maybe on this pain res, that would be good. It's still a decent 3-gen, like you said, like with main building and Gallows both on the high ground. Not everybody's going to have a balanced landing to get out of there, so that's going to be positive. But all of our survivors are still alive. I believe that is our 4th fresh hook. All of our survivors are still alive, so we're kind of running out of time here. You don't want to be going into the last generator here with 4 survivors still living and breathing. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here.
You just need EMPs. You need to hire Sombra from Overwatch or something like that. You just need like 1 trillion EMPs and you need them now, or else proceedings become kind of dragged out here. As this was another fresh hook onto Ivan. So 4 fresh hooks now obtained for Bubbo. EMP is threatening that topside gen, but there's actually a lot of confidence coming in from Bubbo, recognizing, you know, I can stay with Ivan until at least 2nd stage because I know that there was nothing on that gen. However, the problem is eventually you're going to have to contend with getting to it at some point. And, like, now it's closer. You saw it earlier, okay, 30%. But now Zaka's helping out with it. It's like 75% or so. You're just kind of staring. You were just kind of staring at that very progressed generator and not caring in the slightest. Now you're going to kind of have your time maybe... I'd argue wasted by Bubbo here, who is just here to waste some time. Zynox and Zaka are going to get that last gen done, and Bubbo, it almost seemed like he didn't care. He was like, yeah, they can do the gen, it's whatever. I'd be very interested to be hearing the Ariandel dugout right now. I don't know if that's something that shocked Bubbo or not.
So I'm wondering if recognizing after our second hook on Zynox, which led to losing 2 of our 4 gens and two of the 4, like 2 generators in the 4-gen. I'm wondering if at that point we were thinking, you know what? I'm not gonna 4K, so I'm just gonna get some good hook fresh hooks here. Get all the fresh hooks, get all that done. Zynox here wants to die. Zynox wants to die. He's worth the least. Ivan's also worth less, though, right? Because Ivan was the one who was on hook there. But if we get both of them, that'll be good. That's 2 hooks. Those 2 are worth the same as both of these guys. I have either one of these guys, so that's good. So that's going to be 2 more hooks there. I think that Bubble might have been trying to, like, look, I'm not gonna 4K here. Also, as we kind of point out the fact that Ariandel is pretty comfortable on the Survivor side. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get some decent hooks here. I think this is gonna be 8 hooks for fresh. I'm gonna prioritize fresh hooks over. Somebody had tenacity. Please tell me they didn't make it out the door. Did they make it? Wait. They're making it out the door because we were scared of Hatch. No. Oh my god, this is gonna be so close.
No, I think he gets him.
I think he gets it.
I don't think he escapes.
Oh my god, that was
that's
so
tragic.
close. Somebody had tenacity, by the way. I don't know who it was, but somebody had tenacity. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, wow. So I believe that's 8 hooks for fresh.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Oh well. In brutal fashion, we can see the execution come out onto Ivan, and Bobo had somewhat of a very late game recovery there. 8 stages for fresh. In terms of how Singularity normally does, that is bang on average for hook stages. So it seemed like a bit of a disastrous start it seemed like a very disastrous start from Ariandel, and they ended up being okay. They end up being average. Is average gonna do it? That's the question of the day. Question for our analysts to deal with, so we're going to throw it over to them.
Well, what a trial we saw there. It looked like maybe just for a moment the inexperience of Nokron had played into the 3-gen a little bit into favor, but instead it ended up not really being a worry. Bobo still able to kind of take care of things in the back end. Fredrik, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, though. We had seen at one point early on where Zynox was on Death Hook, the only player that was on Death Hook, and could have secured an earlier elimination, which maybe would have been able to hold that 3-gen a little bit better. Do you feel like that was something that was a misstep, or do you think because of the results in the end ended up being the right call?
It was a reasonable result, but I think I know what it was that it felt like a weak Singularity game, right? Like the way that everyone's talking about it like it was a bad Singularity game, or it was a lackluster one, even though it was a very reasonable, normal, bog standard average result. And I think it's because it was Bobo didn't go really hard in any particular direction, right? He wasn't spreading out pressure among every generator. He wasn't tunneling out really hard. He was just kind of hitting people with biopods, letting people heal with Sloppy Butcher, and just sort of letting everyone have their game plan. It wasn't oppressive like we're used to seeing from Singularity. And so it felt weaker than I think it actually was. It was perfectly solid Singularity play.
I think especially easy to say towards the end, right? That with being able to secure the 2 eliminations after that 5th gen, even though we did see one almost be able to make its way out the door, it almost feels like it helps justify the decisions during the trial, right?
No, I agree. Although there is one thing with which I take a little bit of umbrage. I wish that we had gotten more value out of the family photo. When you take the family photo, you kind of want to spread the pressure a little bit more, right? You want to be jumping around from person to person, make them burn their pallets, and then start applying pressure all over the place. Why would I guess I'm a little bit confused why you would choose this game plan when you have the photograph.
Definitely. I mean, I guess maybe the whole thought process is you're just trying, put additional pressure to force them into an additional mistake that they're not like expecting. I'm not exactly sure. 'Cause it definitely felt like, go ahead.
Just circumstances sometimes dictate different usages.
For sure, for sure. Now, MetalBro, one thing I did want to talk to you about, because it felt like while the survivors able to do a good job pressuring gens, did almost play themselves into an interesting position because your first 2 gens don't break up the 4 gens, so almost unable to identify that. But then even still, after you knock down into your final 3 gens left standing, yeah, you're not in a tight 3 gen, but it's kind of centralized there. But even with that, it felt like unable to capitalize. Was there something that you felt like looking at the map wise that maybe, just maybe, I mean, you think maybe fell short on the Survivor side?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, Nokron's survivor play was very strong, but they almost, well, they did 3-gen themselves. There was a setup at main, gallows, and the street. They had a decently tight 3-gen. It wasn't anything crazy, but if Bubbo had maybe paid any attention to that, and instead of camping the hook in the corner, which was a very favorable hook position, but if Bubbo had paid attention to that, I think he could have capitalized on that. Nokron kind of played themselves into that position, but luckily for them, Bubba wasn't too mindful of that, or maybe he just didn't care about it and was happy with the position he was in. Not entirely too sure, because he did pull it back to a pretty respectable result in the end, getting both Yvonne and, or excuse me, I believe it was Zynox and Yvonne at the very end, where Yvonne almost crawled out the gate. It was very close.
We'll have to get ready here. And the big thing right now is at least we have a distinct finish line, right? At least as we head into trial number 8. And we had mentioned a couple of times now, would love to see things go into that 5th and decisive set. But if there's anything that we know when it comes to the word momentum, if you are going to go into set number 5, you want to go into that 5th set off the back of a dub. That's what Ariandel is looking to do here with their survivor play. Meanwhile, on the other side, it will be up to Zaka to try and finish off this first series of our Bronze Series matchup here and now in trial number 8. We're back to the Wild Wild West. Casters, take it away.
For a team that hasn't played at or against Singularity, they did pretty well on their survivor side, did Nokron. So anyway, Zaka, well, let's not panic, all right? I don't think we're going to be here for 19 minutes, but it's very clear the concept that Zaka is going for. Find the 3-gen, control the 3-gen. I hope you have some very comfortable cushions, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a while. However, we do have some game tape on this, and what we know is that in the early game, you have to strike a balance between protecting the 3-gen and everything else, for lack of a better term. You can't just immediately sit on the 3-gen and stay there. Because if you don't get any early game pressure, you're not able to have, a couple of hook stages, someone dead on hook early on, then this whole slow down the late game strat isn't going to work, because survivors have plenty of hook stages and hang time to trade over. Now, your win con is only 9 hook stages for Zaka, so you don't actually have to play perfectly, but you are still relying on survivor mistakes. So you are going to be fine to get an injury onto Bubbo here. And then you're going to be checking right back on the 3-gen. The add-ons are going to inform this. Instead of the baseball glove, you get the brown add-on, which increases the targeting range of your biopods. You can cover more of an effective area, and you can also outplay the EMPs a little bit more. Obviously, EMPs only have so much of a range on them. Plus, you can keep tagging the injured survivors, hit them with deep wound. It's just even more slowdown. The other thing, you have to be careful with your gen kicks. You only get 8 of them, and oppression doesn't actually count to that limit. So you can use oppression to regress some other generators without actually having to apply that regression limit. However, in the late game, if you just kick all of your 3-gens and you kick them 8 times over and over again, then you're going to be stuck with nothing. And as we know, these survivors can be extremely, almost exceedingly patient.
So, interesting to note, the generator split is almost exactly the same as it was last time. That was very weird. That seemed like a very late teleport through the port. It looked like we should have teleported onto iPick there, but instead we did get the pallet break animation. But regardless, we're going to get the hit on him anyway. Yeah, the generators in the desert area are very similar. Nice live there by iPick is going to hit this here. First generator does go down. Going to get another teleport. Yeah, so the generators are very similar to what we saw last time. So this is going to be a very, very true test of the survivor versus killer here. A little bit of iffy placement on at the very beginning of the match there from Zaka, but seems to be getting for the biopods there, but seems to be getting a good handle of it now. Again, we haven't seen any of Zaka's Singularity this season. That doesn't mean we haven't seen them play it. Sorry, that doesn't mean they haven't practiced it, is what I meant to say. No corrupt intervention is very interesting. So last match we saw them waiting out the corrupt intervention. This time Zaka is like, well, I'm not going to run it. Obviously, that's not true.
Oh, slow down.
They set up their they send their perks beforehand. Like they don't change their perks based on other people. But yeah, definitely more slowdown. No hook yet, but only one generator as well. Have to see what's going on here. I don't know. This is too early to tell what the heck's going on, I guess.
It's odd that Zaka isn't actually playing particularly aggressively for that 3-gen right now. Now, this makes sense on the one hand because, as we said, you need early game pressure for the 3-gen strat to work, absolutely. But also, it's risky. It's very risky because your entire strategy hinges on these 3 generators. If you let the other survivors hold you for a while, you do not keep constantly keeping an eye on them, then your strategy is completely ruined. Now, every survivor is currently slipstreamed. That is a problem. That is gonna let Zaka apply a lot of pressure if they cannot EMP them very quickly. Also, Swatter is in a tough position here. Looks like it could be going down sooner rather than later. With the overclock actually being utilized, it's actually Ithik who is instead here to take a hit for Swatter. And in this time, the gens aren't flying the way you think they would be. That's what Ariandel want to do. They want to break the 3-gen, and they want to focus on it very early and as aggressively as possible. But they can only fly so close to the sun before their wings start melting. Boa gets a nice stun there, but you are stuck in this corner. Not quite zoned out because you are able to chain it into this window. But all these survivors have to be so careful all the time.
Survivors are playing really, really careful, as you said. They're playing really, really careful here. You're noticing, yeah, not a lot of gen progress, but there hasn't been a down yet either. So we had everybody slipstreamed, everybody healthy, got a couple tags. We're seeing some heals come in. We saw people are slipstreamed again, but we saw all those slipstreams come off with EMPs. We're going to probably see another M1 maybe. Goes for the cheeky over the little fence there move. Doesn't work. We did hear, I believe that was Bubbo. I think that was an ace I heard who may or may not have. Yep, it was Bubbo, who is now affected with Dragon's Grip for the next, looking like going on about 20, 30 more seconds. So this is, we're exposed. Oh, a little bit of rubber banding there. Might have just been on our end. Hopefully it wasn't on the killer's end. See how that goes. By the way, I do want to point out too, Bubble made me a liar. I said that the killer and survivors of Ariandel had not doubled up, and then Bubble's like, no, I'm gonna do it. So Bubble both did play both killer and survivor for this match. So I made an interesting stat call, and they instantly made me a liar. So.
This gen is very progressed for a generator which is an integral part of the 3-gen. It's kind of scary. Now, it's going to have Dragon's Grip and Call of Brine applied in it, however. And this might actually be Zaka's idea. You constantly keep an eye on that gen, and, like, you strike a delicate balance where you let it be progressed enough so that, like, you let it be progressed enough so that you get some kind of value by kicking it, but not so progressed that survivors just finish it outright. Swatter, however, was there, is exposed by the Dragon's Grip, but Hardwell's here to take a hit, and you know that they're sending someone else over to this gallows now. Still, we are definitely far beyond the 5-minute mark now. No downs have been obtained yet. The survivors right now, despite a small, like, blip, I suppose, the survivors are not caring about the generators aside from the gallows one in the slightest.
It's so, swings through there. This is getting scary for Zaka, and I say that because we've had a lot of tags. We're running Sloppy Butcher, we're running Soma Family Photo. We're like tagging. We're getting a lot of half value, right? We're injuring people, we're not downing them, and we keep on doing this, and the survivors are happy taking their time. They're going nice and slow and make like look, Bubbo just got healed up again. Now we're all healthy again. We're not leaving anybody injured to crank out the gens. We are happy we'll get some progress. Okay, now we'll reset. We'll get some progress. Okay, now we'll get some EMPs. Okay, we'll make some progress. Continue, repeat until 5 gens are done and we're out the door.
Yes. The only adage is that those final 3 gens are sometimes a little bit slow to do. We're still, still taking quite a while here. Gallows Generator, you can hear it, has regressed quite a lot. It's gone from what it was before, which was like basically like 90%, over to sounds something like more 50 odd. So the Call of Brian is doing good work. And to be honest, I don't think this strategy would be as successful if Call of Brian didn't recently get that buff. Of course, in its heyday, it was the 200% slowdown, which is a little freaky. Then it went to the 120 and now is at a middle ground in 150, which is not as obscene as before, but it's still very strong, still something that the survivors like to take advantage of. There's a lot of EMPs being used on the Gallows here. You can see just how bad the survivors want to complete these gens and how Zaka is looking for like every other angle imaginable to try and get him out here. Now, Swatter, they keep sending him because he has the balanced landing. So that is like the play to make, to be honest. Bubbo in a corner here. Gonna get actually not tagged with the slipstream, but is definitely in a precarious spot. Of course, the pallet by that windmill was utilized. That's another EMP coming out. Yeah, the survivors, they do love those EMPs, and I believe Swatter and iPick are actually now doubling up on Gallows.
This is a losing strategy.
No,
this
not
is
quite.
unfortunately. No, yeah, even worse. This is a losing strategy. This is exactly what we saw in that 19-minute first down, which we might be progressing to soon, where we're so keen on. This is that paralysis by analysis. We want to hold our 3 gen. By the way, sorry guys, we're experiencing a little bit of a lag on our end. I understand that it's on our end, not on the killer's end. So if you're seeing rubber banding and whatnot, that is not what the players are experiencing. So if you're seeing some odd it's rubber banding and whatnot, it's not apparently what they're experiencing. So don't worry, this is still a clean match, but we're having a little bit of problems on our end. We do apologize for that. Sorry, back to what I was saying. This like repeated trying to hold down this 3 gen, trying to hold down spread damage and whatnot isn't working. The survivors are not playing the way you want them to play. They are playing safe and slow and cautious, and it's in the end you're going to lose these generators, and we're going to end up with a very low stake game unless something changes really quickly. And now the problem is, like, Egdar, what do you do? Because you put yourself in this position where now you need to commit to a chase, but if you commit to a chase, it's too late. You lose the generators. Like, is there anything Zaka can do right now to turn this game around?
10 minutes, 0 downs. Can Zaka turn this game around? Not if the survivors play perfectly, which right now they currently are doing. I suppose for the survivors, you do have a odd like situation to deal with, where obviously the gen kick limit on this generator is something that both teams are all too aware of. The idea is if Zaka just sits here, then sure, the concept is that survivors can just work on the other gens in this 3 gen split, but that would allow for more oppression procs to come out onto the final 3 generators, including the Gallows gen. So you say this is a losing strategy. I say it's a slow strategy. And Ariandel, they have game tape against this. That's the issue. They played against Oracle using this exact same strategy. It's not just a case of they've seen this strategy and have theory on how to counter it, but they know how to counter it because they've done it already. And now we can see the survivors are actually splitting on these 3 gens. They're not just going over to Gallows, they're going on this one too. And yeah, Zaka does not hesitate to kick that because that's going to apply some regression to the Gallows generator too.
Oh, sorry. Again, sorry guys, very weird lag. Very interesting. We got a hit on Swatter there though, seeing as Swatter had the bounce landing. Yeah, I think we're going through the motions here again. We're having another. This is Ariandel literally played this match like you said. It was Ward on Team Oracle that did this exact same thing. Heavy committed to the 3 gen, did not commit to any chases. Survivors took their time, cranked the gens out. In the end, I think we got maybe a 4-ish four hook states or something to that extent. But I mean, at this, we need to. If you get one fresh survivor out the door, and one other survivor out the door, you win this match for Ariandel, which means we will be going to the last to the tiebreaker to the fifth matchup, which will be that Deathslinger. I'm not counting it out yet, but I am getting ready for some Deathslinger enjoyment because we're going on. I think we're hitting 15 plus minutes now with no down. If you were to tell me we were going to break the record and then break the record again a week or two later, I guess 2 weeks later, I would not have told you Zaka would have the longest down in DBDL history, but we're getting close to it.
Notice how it's us two as well.
Wait! Yeah! Let's go! Sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say we got down. Not actually record-breaking, but 13 minutes, 32 seconds. It's still pretty damn slow, guys. Okay. Well, the issue is the first hook kind of changes everything for the survivors. Because suddenly their, miracle 3-gen strat where they can just focus on completing those 3 generators just isn't something that they can do anymore. And they end up getting Swatter off the hook anyway. I believe that he has, something like, he's going to be able to be himself later. So he'll be fine for the time being, Swatter. In the meantime, now that Swatter's healed up, things are a bit more reset for the survivors. So the first hook was scary. I would have hoped it would have been more within the 3-gen split. I think you had time to drag him to one of those more central gens, just really apply a load of pressure that way, but it is not to be. Instead, you're going to find Hardwell over here, who's going to be able to chain this pallet back into main building, and therefore, you do not want any of that smoke. You're going to just start looking right back at the gens. And yeah, Zaka, despite how scary it seemed, the prospect of that central generator going, actually doing a very... I actually let it go as long as possible, just to waste the survivors' time, it seemed, where it was empty generator progress. Gen progress, which doesn't actually do anything, or mean anything towards the final victory for the killer. And now you can see how much it's regressed. Yes, Swatter is going to be able to get away with balance landing, but not for eating an injury, and a little more slowdown with the sloppy butcher. But now Zaka's being able to kick it again because he still has some limits left in it and just continue to burn it down.
Got a little bit of the meta game while we're still trying to crack this 3-gen out here, because we're again, oppression is going to prevent hitting the hitting the regression limit a little longer, but it's still gonna eventually hit. I wonder. So Nokron started the season 6-0. They were crushing it out at the beginning of the season. They kind of faltered a little bit. They lost their last 3 regular season matches, and then they wound up losing the semifinal to Invictus, who will be playing in the grand finals starting this weekend, starting tomorrow. I'm wondering, because clearly they're a great team. Nokron was absolutely crushing it. They beat some of the really good teams out there. They played really consistently. There's one thing I do notice about Team Nokron, and that is that Zaka is the only killer on the team. Even today. Well, I was gonna say, even today, Ariandel has had 3 separate killers in 4 different matches. Right?
Zaka currently has the record for the most killer games in Season X with 40. And just by virtue of that, also has the record for hook stages, fresh hooks, and fresh hooks, with an average first down time of 2 minutes as well. So
not anymore.
Good, but... you raise a good point. You raise a good point. Yes. But yeah. Point is, Zaka is a very well-versed, very experienced killer player, is the one who heads it up for Nokron, and generally does a more than solid job at it as well. Are we worried here about Swatter?
Well, I was gonna say, exception. I just want to touch on that for one more second, because the reason I brought it up is, Zaka is one of the best killers in DBD history, okay?
Yeah, in the
But-
world. Yeah.
Another name that comes up when you're having this conversation, I'm not taking away from others because Bubbo is fantastic and Xeno is fantastic. Nightlight. Nightlight is when you're looking at sort of old Team Eternal. Nightlight is another killer that played, and there's the generator, so we're at one hook going into the end game here. Nightlight and Pedro have been pretty much splitting the killers for Team Invictus right now. I'm wondering if one of the reasons why we've been seeing some sort of a little bit of a downward turn in the second half of the season. Oh, that's a spectator bug. If we saw a little bit of a downward turn, it's just Zaka's overloaded. Like there are 40 killers in DBDL. There's 40 killers in DBD. It's really hard to stay good and consistent and like perfect at all of them. And I'm wondering if maybe even though they have a pretty decent roster over on Nokron, I'm wondering if the lack of a backup killer when Zaka has played every single match for killer and every single match for survivor, I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why we saw sort of the downward turn from Nokron. I'm not trying to take away from Nokron. Like we're going into the fifth game here, and they're in the semis. Like they're fighting for third place. But I'm just curious. Looking after this game, they haven't played Singularity. I wonder if it wouldn't have been helpful if they had a Singularity specialist on the team. That's what I'm trying to say, Egdar.
Yes, you mean a chess player. Get Magnus Carlsen in here. He would have done a phenomenal job. We're going to be sending it over to the analysts, who I'm sure have plenty of thoughts and possibly opinions about that matchup. We're ready for set 5. We're ready for these teams to do it out head-to-head in the final set, which will be the Deathslinger. But we'll let the analysts take it over for now.
I gotta say, usually when we see Zaka only able to accrue a couple of hook stages, it's usually because the other team is able to like absolutely bang out the gens and get them out in like record time. Not quite the case this time around. We had mentioned going into the set how there was the potential to try and lock down and hold down a 3-gen, usually over on that cacti side, like we did see in trial number 8. And while it did help them kind of at least protect the gens for a while, unfortunately, MetalBro, Zaka wasn't able to pick up any sort of pressure on hook stages.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it all boils down to the strategy he was trying to invoke in this match, which is the very early 3-gen match, or strategy, excuse me, which is the exact same strategy that Ward tried to pull over on Ariandel in the Ariandel versus Oracle matchup, where Ward had the 30-minute Singularity match, the 19-minute first down. We saw the same thing happening here with a 13-minute first down. Zaka was leaving a lot of chases early on, and even in midway through the match as well. I mean, it just boils down to protecting the 3 closest generators, and it just didn't really work out. I mean, Ariandel handled this very well the last time that we had this strategy pulled on them. And once again, I mean, it's not really showing that it's effective against Ariandel. They're just too prepared. Not only that, it's just like, having to leave so many chases, not getting any hook stages at all, and not even being able to protect those last 3 generators. I mean, Ariandel is very prepared for the strategy, it feels like.
Yeah, and I want to butt in here for just a second and point out that, and just sort of double down on what you're saying, right? A 4K1, the difference between a 4K1 and a 3K1 against the Singularity is night and day. And I'm going to say the cursed thing. I'm going to say the thing. It's like playing chess. But except actually for real. Hear me out. It's like chess in the sense that the game is riding on a knife's edge. Because in a 3v1, especially if anyone makes a tiny error and gives a little bit of space to the other person, they can rip the game wide open. That's all it takes. But a 4v1 going into that 3-gen gives a lot more space. And it explains the different play styles end up being very different because of that. We saw Bubbo was very willing to spread out hooks because now there's nobody who can really tank it anymore. And even if you end up in a 4v1, it's easier to break.
I like it. I definitely think that's a really good point too, as far as being like the difference of spreading the hooks for sure. Now, I was kind of curious though. Now we look forward to set number 5. I feel like as you go through the course of a series, right? There's always like, oh, we can bounce back in the next set. We can always bounce back in the next set. That's no longer a case here for either of these two teams. And I think right now, for me, I'm looking over at Zaka, who, normally referred to as the Monster, one of the killers for a long time in DBDLeague. We heard our casters talking about it, referred to as one of the best in the world. You just came out and you underperformed in that last trial. I'm kind of curious here, Fredrik. What does the mental look like as far as heading into set number 5, where for Zaka, you've got to turn right around and set the winning condition here in this next trial?
Oh God, I would never want to be in this position because Deathslinger is he's a killer that is extremely dependent on getting the flicks, landing the shots, like this very minute mechanical play that moment to moment can swing one way or another completely wildly. And it's very easy to get tilted mid-match. It is going to take a lot of not only mechanical skill, but discipline. I think that this is going to come down to who can micro better, who can land the shots.
I'd love to throw one thing out there too, really
Yeah.
quickly. Underperforming on a very strong killer, and then having the responsibility to play a killer that regularly underperforms. I can't really speak to how hard that must be on the mental as well.
Yeah.
That's definitely a very good point, right? Easier for the survivors who just came out here and had a darn good performance on the deadest of dogs, was able to weather the storm, be able to play disciplined and stay very much, to the game plans. They're going to look to try and do the same thing here in trial number 9. We're off to the suffocation pit, baby. One of the tried and true maps when it comes to competitive DVD. We're going to be watching my boy Caleb. He might not walk fast. He does have a limp after all, but man, that boy can hit some shots and close down chases quickly. So let's go ahead and get ready to take things back down into the fog for trial number 9.
Best of 5? Nah, forget that. We're down to best of 1. Winner takes all. Slinger set. We're loading in. We're going to have Zaka, 4-team Nokron, trying to come back from that difficult Singularity match up against the survivors of Ariandel, Hardwell, iPick, Swatter, and Bubbo, loading into the Suffocation Pit. Suffocation Pit is one of those classic matches shaped like a capital I. You got that middle sort of crossover place that's very good to hold down and stop survivors from crossing the map. The bottleneck is the word I was looking for there. Looks like we've got a really strong 4-gen close to the top side main building, and Zaka's wasting no time. We're not holding that bottleneck. We are looking and hunting for survivors. Couple interesting perks we're looking at. Agitation's going to let you pick your hooks. And there's one perk that I'm looking at in particular, Egdar. Do you see it? It looks like a spirit.
Yes, Rancor. That's going to... The main allure of this is that it's going to let you instantly kill the Obsession if they are alive by the end of the match. They become permanently exposed, and there is nothing they can do to dispel it. It's not linked to a totem, it's not linked to any kind of condition, nothing like that. And it's also not linked to Zaka missing a shot, because he threaded the needle perfectly on that one, and then intentionally broke the chain so that he could benefit off of the purple cigar add-on. It's an inbuilt little save the best for last for the Slinger. But yeah, you kind of want Bubbo alive by the end game so that you can instantly get that kill. 3 stages done. It doesn't matter what you've done for the rest of the match. If you can get that down and that kill, that is amazing for you. However, that does anticipate going to the end game.
I just want to jump in there real quickly. It is definitely good because you can take Bubbo, but it's also... So we do not allow a lot of most aura perks are not allowed on in competitive Dead by Daylight, particularly here in DBDLeague. Rancor is an exception. Rancor, every time a generator gets completed, you see not auras, but the sort of scream bubbles of all the survivors. They don't actually scream, but you see an aura of where the survivors are. Rancor is an underrated information perk. I just want to throw that out there, that I think that there's a lot of good value to Rancor, both because you can maybe get bubble at the end of the game, but also because you can get information mid-match every time a generator gets popped.
Although a tough predicament there, was forced to drop the pallet right in front of the killer, who can't quite get the insta-scope, but is fine anyway. Is he able to close the distance with that shot? Not quite. The thing is, pallets don't do anything against a slinger when the survivor is healthy. Just landing a shot's got injured. But when they're injured, they're kind of his worst nightmare. Of course, you don't have the purple chain add-on to make it stronger. You do have the ability to land a very good vault, though. You're going to put Hardwell in a rough position there. Bubbo comes in to take a hit to buy some time for Hardwell, and I believe that's the inner focus, actually allowing some amount of aura reading, but you end up just kind of aura reading yourself into the corner of the map anyway.
A little bit, I gotta say, in general today, I've been a little bit confused. I don't know whether it's not just Zaka. So when I say this, I'm talking about basically a lot of the killers who've been playing today. I don't understand the macro play. Maybe they're thinking that their micro, their chases will be shorter than they have been. But we had a deep hook on iPick into the 3/4 gen up by main building. We ditched that for a long time, give a free unhook, a free reset. Now we've got a fresh hook on Hardwell. I don't know why we weren't trying to either hold that proxy camp, that hold it down in the 3 gen down the side, and or continue the tunnel out. Like DBD, competitive DBD 101 is tunnel. These aren't pubs, guys. We're not here to make friends. We're not here to split hooks and 8 hook before we get kills. We need to tunnel someone out of these games. And multiple times today in this particular matchup, we have seen over and over again, we drop chase and completely ignore our tunnel out. And it happened again. Am I missing something? Like, am I missing something? I don't understand why we gave so much space when we had such a good deep hook in our 3 gen.
Like, the tunneling idea helps. Oftentimes, survivors are going to do everything that they can to prevent that from happening. Right now, they're focused on the gens. They're going to be able to complete another one there. Again, Swatter dropping pallets early against a Deathslinger when you're injured tends to be the best strategy. Main building is obviously going to be pretty strong. You can also play spacing against a Deathslinger pretty well. Being 110 killer, he has no real catch-up, and his gun, despite obviously being, you know, a gun, having range in that sense, isn't able to cross-map you. It's not able to snipe you from huge distances away. So honestly, this main building, I don't really want Zaka around here. It seems like he's just kind of having his time wasted by Swatter, who is playing this perfectly, by the way, right? Has used some but very few resources, has mostly just been running around this main building, allowing survivors, even though there is a 4-gen split on this side, allowing survivors maybe not so deep towards the main building to progress some of those generators. Like, this is some absurd progress, and then even when the time has come for Zaka to actually land that shot, it's just not been able to happen, and every second is being eked out right now. Ariandel looked to be in a tremendous spot with Swatter leading that charge.
I guess I was gonna say this is gonna be a pain res right by this gen here, so that's good. But okay, so now I feel like we are. But great chase by Swatter. Sorry, I'm in analysis mode. My brain is working, and my mouth is and my brain are having a disconnect. So okay, we've got a hook here near this generator with a lot of progress. We still have our 3/. There's some Rancor value, like I said. Again, I'm losing my mind. I don't know why we're not tunneling today. I don't know why we have given so much space and so much, like, okay, if you get a hook early game far from the generators, then yeah, maybe you can't hold that. You have to go down and pressure and stuff like that. But I don't understand. I don't understand what's been going on. I feel like this doesn't feel like the strategy of a bronze medal game. I don't know. Anyways, we're maybe continuing a chase on Swatter here. I mean, if you're gonna pick on someone, if you're gonna go for your 3rd hook, we hook iPick, we leave him. We hook Hardwell, we leave him. We take forever to down Swatter, and now we want to tunnel Swatter. I don't know. wild. Kicking the generator is going to do almost nothing. I'm sorry. I'm feeling like I'm a naysayer right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused by this strategy. I don't know.
Zaka is in a very tough spot right now. I feel like you're banking on the fact that Deathslinger games will generally go to the end. So you're choosing to play around hook stages instead of attempting for the 4K. And the numbers would somewhat back that up. Deathslinger has not been played much. I believe we've only seen 2 sets and therefore 4 trials of Slinger. Only one of those ended in a 4K. Plus, neither of these teams in this entire season have actually played the Deathslinger. So, the Deathslinger doesn't generally perform well, so Zaka is going to try and play for... Yeah, he's going to try and play for these stages. Definitely wants to play for the Rancor, too. And now you can see the Swatter being a bit cheeky there. Knows definitely that that purple cigar add-on is in play, so is going to actually just not resist. Isn't going to resist the hit at all, so the chain takes forever to break, and it just buys more and more time for people like Bubbo and Ipik on the other side of things to complete the generators.
It's important to note too that we were talking about endgame and Rancor and whatnot, because we are looking towards an endgame now. We got 3 gen and there's no split. The split is very far. Very ambitious shot there. Didn't go hit, but I enjoy it. That gen's gonna pop. We want to find Bubbo now. Bubbo knows though. Bubbo absolutely knows, because Rancor has the negative side of showing the killer's aura every time a generator pops. So there is no way that Bubbo has not called out that that's happening. Swatter is not who we want here. This is going to be our second, maybe third. Hook state on Swatter if we manage to camp them out. Bubbo is not going to show their face anywhere. Bubbo's also a fresh hook. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You know, I'm armchair quarterbacking here, but that was a 5-hook game. That was a 5-hook game, I think. 5-hook 3 fresh. I don't understand. Okay, we're gonna send this to the analysts in a second, but I just want to say this again one more time. You got Ipik deep hook. You camp it out to second. You tunnel them out in your 3 gen, and then if you can't get the tunnel out, then you go for fresh hooks. I think that was. I think strategically that was.
Time for Bubbo to make a mark in history here. Time to put a definitive stamp on the first of these best of 3 matchups and to put yourself closer to that bronze medal. Extra $500 in it for the players. So the standard is high and they have to be playing on their A game. Zaka, unfortunately, appeared to have a really rough performance last time on the Slinger, only accruing, I believe it was 5 stages when all was said and done. Slinger does not perform spectacularly at the best of times, right? But Bubbo is going to have to pick that one up and lock it in right now. Build going to inform that actually has a little more gen kick, not as much agitation or pain resonance that we saw from Zaka. You go for the cigar and the reinforced chain here. So the reinforced chain, it's odd. It has like slight anti-synergy. You actually get a shot through Ivan there. You thread the needle, and the needle's name is Ivan. And Ivan just was not able to eat that hit, wasn't able to run in front in time. And Zaka got abducted and is being put immediately on a very early hook.
No pain res. That shot was going to be amazing for one of the teams. It was either going to be the most disgusting body block literally jump in front of the bullet, or it was going to be an amazing shot dodging the Secret Service and hitting your mark. And we did see the down come in quickly. And I was harping on strategy last time. I hope we see some better strategy here in Bubbo. The win condition is pretty reasonable. We need 5 hooks, 4 fresh, or 6 hooks any which way. We're going to take that hit. It's interesting they're pre-throwing these pallets. I feel like you just loop the pallet. Listen, if I'm not giving anyone survivor tips because I am no survivor myself. So I'm not the best survivor myself. But throwing the pallet, you're just giving yourself position to be locked in animation. I feel like until you get shot, until you get injured, you kind of mentioned this last time, Egdar. Until you get injured, keep the pallet up. I don't know. You're eventually gonna get shot and hit over the pallet anyway, right?
Yeah, but now we see that Ivan is just gonna pre-throw this one. Now here's the thing. Bubbo obviously missing the shot, not ideal. But with the purple chain add-on, it means that you can actually just go around some of these loops and get the hit. Not that rock, unfortunately. It's a little bit too big. It gives you, I believe, 50% more time on the chain before it breaks, which in shorter loops with pallets can often be the difference maker. But in one like this, wow, Ivan's doing a really good job right now. Bubbo is getting spun for quite a while, is eventually forced to break the pallet, and surely in the back of your mind you must be thinking about, you know, the time that you have. Fortunately, like a fish in a barrel, you knew that Ivan would walk over to that pallet, and it was a clean shot to secure your next hook! Unless Zaka has something to say about it. Wants a little bit of revenge after that last try.
All right. Wow, I did not see that coming. I was about to lose my mind again because I don't know why. Like, we are in the bronze medal game. Well, bronze medal matchup. This isn't it's not over after today. No one's tunneling. Zaka was hooked deep in the generators again, and they get unhooked. Zaka gets unhooked and free healed, and we just chase Ivan. Again, I think that time was very clearly, I can get this down and then go continue the tunnel. Tunnel someone out of the game, guys. What are we doing? I'm losing I'm sitting here going like, do we have a gentleman's agreement or something where we're gonna not tunnel people out of this game now? I don't know what is happening, but this is the craziest matchup of Dead by Daylight, of competitive Dead by Daylight I have maybe ever seen. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my mind.
I mean, you're playing for stages, and you know this, so you don't actually have to. You don't actually have to get a hard tunnel out if you're Bubba right now. You just need hooks, right? And you're going to get those. And in terms of playing for raw hooks, it's generally more efficient to keep going after multiple people, right? So I see the vision there. You're going to let the break happen onto Sken, and then you reload over here. Oh no, you actually catch him on the vault back! That's a horrendous misplay from Sken. Yes, these gens are still flying. Yes, Bubba has not gotten the win yet. Is still very paranoid about that flashlight save, but that could do a lot. Nokron survivors were actually playing remarkably well, given their, you know, very slim win condition that they have to get. But Skin getting hooked in the basement, that's awful for him.
I see where you're coming from, by the way, with the, yeah, you're not, I don't know, you're not supposed to get a tunnel, sorry, you're not supposed to get a 4K. Again, like, I'm sorry, this is the last time I'm going to stop harping on it. You hook Zaka down the other end of the map. As soon as they get unhooked, you run back in, you try and continue that tunnel. Again, if you don't get it, fine, but why are we not trying? Why are we trying to get a fresh hook? I don't know. Like, Hardwell wound up playing amazingly. Sorry, not Hardwell. Ivan was playing amazingly. Sorry, both playing aces. Ivan was playing amazingly, and then the flashlight save comes in, and all that time was wasted time. Anyways, basement hook here might work out a little bit better. We might be able to see something happen here. Camping out basement hook, we do have a bit of a 3-gen, both in Shack and sort of on the bottom right side of the map, if you consider Shack the middle of the bottom of the map. But you can see, yeah, Ivan and Zaka are cranking out that gen together, and now we camp out. Again, why are we camping out at one jet? Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I gotta stop. I'm gonna leave it alone. We're camping it out. We make the second stage. We're at 3 hooks now. We need 2 more hooks.
Look at the 3-gem. Look at the 3-gem. There's no reason. Yeah. There's no reason to not stay here. This is a really good 3-gem for you. You have Call of Brine Eruption. Taylor's on, and it's going to be very effective at holding onto it right now. I think that that's something that Bubbo spotted, and now the survivors, even if they're able to somehow let Sken escape with his life right now, it's something that the rest of the survivors very much have to still contend with. It's a tough thing to do. We're going to get Ivan, who's going to get injured up. I believe Zaka was working that gen over by the rock, and the shot misses. It hit about like 70-80% by the sound of it. This is a tough 3-gen to break, but it's one that Nokron potentially could.
It's very close. I feel like it's closer than it should be, but it's very close. So just for everybody keeping score, Zaka has been hooked once. Shen has been hooked twice. We need 6 hooks, or we need 5 hooks for fresh. So 1 hook on Zynox and Ivan will win the game, or 3 more hooks any which way will win the game for Bubbo. But we are not. We're not there. Getting Shen out of the game at this point. I mean, like you gotta kill somebody, right? But getting Shen out of the game at this point almost seems like a waste of time. I see here. I agree with this. We're past tunnel out point. We're not tunneling out at this point. This is not what we're doing. We're gonna have. I believe this was Zaka and Ivan. So I believe Zynox is cranking away Shack Gen. So we're gonna reapply Call of Brine here. If we get it down, we do have Eruption down on this generator. But I would be surprised. I believe Zynox is soloing Shack Gen here. Not much progress.
Like, look, this is a 3-gen, but bear in mind of all. If I had to pick any killer in the game to hold a 3-gen, it wouldn't really be the Deathslinger. You know what I mean? Obviously, Shack is in its enclosed building. He has no way of masking a terror radius, so you know exactly when he's gonna try and come and intercept you. You have the obviously Shack building itself to just break line of sight and play as safe as humanly possible. So, like, this isn't unbreakable right now for the survivors. That being said, we're going to see Zynox get hit very quickly with that chain, and Bubbo has to take a risk here because you know that like you kind of need a down, so you're gonna go kind of deeper into the map to get that down at the cost of everyone
We might get
else.
this with the.
Not quite.
Oh, I thought maybe with the chain.
At the cost, at the cost of the 3 healthy survivors, well, 2 healthy survivors, now over by that 3-gen split, and I'm not sure if this is a risk that Bubbo needed to take, or even it is happy about taking. For these survivors right now, they're playing exceptionally well. They're scattering like ants as much as possible. Bubbo right now is just focusing on good fundamentals. If he's hitting as many shots as possible, getting as many injuries and deep wounds as possible just to slow the survivors down, that's probably your first step to success.
Good shot there. We're gonna get that down. Yeah. Well, this will get Eruption. Okay, Eruption on the generator too. So that was Bubble made a really good heads up play there. God, I'm so terrified of Zaka right now. With that flashlight. Made really good heads up play there. Saw that they were kind of all retreating away from the generators to do a little bit of a reset. So managed to hit the hit on Zynox. Zynox was a fresh hook. So was Ivan. So hits Ivan, gets into the fresh hook. We're at four fresh hooks now. Sorry, 4 hooks, 3 fresh. My bad. Quick unhook on Ivan. But yeah, so saw that they were retreating because they were going to slow it down and maybe play for a reset and then tackle the 4-gen again. Sorry, the 3-gen with the 4 of them again. And Bubbo kind of detected that and didn't give them the free resets. Hit the shot on Zynox, hit the shot on Ivan, managed to make some plays there. Zaka had to come in and run interference. Really good play by Bubbo to recognize that they're not attacking the gens right now, so capitalize on hitting them down the other end of the match. Under the map. So they've got that. That's great. Now things are better. But here we are again. 4 hooks. We are 1 fresh hook away from a win. So Zynox, any hook on Zynox will be the win for Ariandel. Here we are with the 3-gen. Everybody healthy. Your guess is as good as mine. What happens next?
A lot of the resources around those gens have been burnt as well, and that's the problem. But by this rock generator, I believe there was a pallet, which if there was one, it's been thrown. Obviously, Shack. The Shack itself is still there, but I also believe that Shack pallet is gone. It's a tough situation, an even tough situation, because it seems like Bubbo's build is designed for this. Not going as hard into the end game as thinking, okay, well, I'm bringing a Rancor or something along, or if it were allowed, something like a Noed, to play for the end game itself. But thinking, I'm probably going to lose a lot of gens. I want to get to a point where I have a 3-gen and I've held it and I've broken all of the resources around it, and I can just play comfortable. And that's what Bubbo needs to be right now. He needs to be comfortable, he needs to be calm, he needs to be composed, because there are still a million ways that this can go wrong for either side. But Bubbo's put himself in a spot where he should, in theory, be able to win this one out fairly convincingly.
So Shen is not necessarily the target we want.
Blind shot.
Great
That was a blind
shot. Fantastic. Wow, love that. Shen is maybe. Oh, here we go again. No, okay, gonna get the injury here on Ivan. We're not gonna get it down, I believe. Yeah, I was gonna say they're cranking. That's a Call of Brine aura read. That was a good, not great skill check. So nice little information addition to the gen regression on Call of Brine. Not enough progress. Sorry, I stopped talking to listen. Not enough progress there. I believe it's Zaka down here. I would check that basement. I mean, maybe Zaka's not crazy enough to go to the basement, but maybe he's just crazy enough.
But maybe Bubbo thinks that Zaka... Okay. I was going to say, maybe Bubbo thinks that Zaka would be crazy enough to go to the basement. It's
a double, triple blind.
It is a dangerous game of brinkmanship, my friend Andrew. And it's one that Bubbo's going to try and win. Bubbo's hit some nasty shots right now. Sometimes he cooks a little too hard, but I actually... Weirdly enough, I like the confidence of going for some of these crazy shots, just because, like, the risk is a reload and the reward is a quick injury and down. Now Zaka is in this corner injured, and he is zoned out to all hell. Like, what's he making? He's making nothing here. And the survivors kind of recognize this, so they're going to try and bully out this generator. But for it, Sken actually eats the injury. The distraction bought time for Zaka, but it might have exposed Zynox, who could, I believe, be seen on the corner of our eyes running away from those trees. Nope, that was Ivan instead. You know, Megan Ace, very easy. Megan Ace, very easy to get confused, especially when Ace is in speedos.
I was gonna say it's the speedo. Was this
Zynox?
Oh my god! So, okay, Zynox does not want to be spotted, by the way, for everybody watching. Zynox, one hook on Zynox is the end of the game, and Ariandel wins. So, that's really interesting. They're gonna, just anybody who's getting into competitive Dead by Daylight, this is textbook right now. You want to be tackling this 3-gen. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No. I was gonna say, you don't want to be attacking the gen while they're resetting. We looked in a locker there. Dude, we've been down here for a while. We might get a crow. Yeah, no, that's why. No, I mean he left quietly. Right? So no. The locker makes noise though. Oh my god.
It does. Zaka's injured now. You can see Ivan also in a spot to possibly be injured up soon enough. Has this pallet to work with. God, this is terrifying. From Zynox's perspective, this was like playing a horror game all over again.
For real.
Hiding in the basement as the killer just comes and searches for you. He can sniff you. He knows you're close, and he will he will smash down the doors, but not the one you're in before a juicier target of Zaka presents itself.
You see his boots on the stairs. It's literally out of a horror film. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. Anyways, sorry. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So this is good though. So good. As far as Bubbo, you were talking about, you got to be very comfortable. Very good point, because that's what's happened here. We've managed to get a couple hits off. We've managed to. Call of Brine is working hard today. Call of Brine has been regressing this generator very, very well. 150% as opposed to the regular 100%. Waiting. Oh, God! I think you could have just M1'd, but instead Ivan patient, and misses that shot. Pallet gone, though, so that's another pallet out of the way. Yeah, Call of Brine, Eruption hasn't had as much value, but that Call of Brine, because we were camping that area... out, we had a lot of regression. Sorry, what were you saying?
We might be thinking about gen kick limits at some point. These survivors are playing so safe, and make no mistake about it, we are effectively in a 3v1. We are, if we were breaking this 3-gen, like, regular 4v1, and there wasn't, you know, the threat of, okay, well, Zynox could just fall over and explode, then it wouldn't actually be that difficult. But because Zynox can fall over and explode, and then, bam, you're one down over the weekend, which is a worst-case scenario predicament to be in, you have to play it 3v1. And as we know, playing the game 3v1 is just totally different from playing it 4v1. Now, again, recall, these survivors, they don't have anything right now. Like, it is so precarious, and they have so little room to work with. They have to be dodging these shots. We're going to see the Call of Brine information come out, but the regression on that generator has stopped. So you know that Ivan's going to need to get healed up here before everyone can safely approach. maybe Zynox can walk up and like tap the Shaq Gen, because Bubba's all of the way on the other side of the map right now, and Zaka should probably call this out and be like, Zynox has an opportunity to leave the locker and just tap the Gen.
There, okay, I was gonna say,
yeah.
Zynox, but here's the crazy thing, okay? So in my mind, if I were playing Killer, I would think that, okay, where the heck is Zynox? I haven't seen Zynox anywhere. Where is it? Maybe Zynox is playing Nurse Zynox, playing Nurse Meg up the other end of the map, and every time someone gets injured, they're running down the map and getting healed by Zynox. Like, that would be a reasonably intelligent play, right? No, not at all. Zynox has been hanging around in the base, like, in the 3-gen, but not actually doing anything this entire time. Dude, this is going to the well multiple times, and I'm wondering if it's going to bite them in the butt finally. This is wild. I cannot believe Zynox is still in the base. Like, not just I can't be spotted, and I'm in the middle of the lion's den. This is crazy.
You know you know, like the bell curve, and on like the lower end of Survivor players, you have, I'm gonna hide in the locker from the killer, and then like the middle, like 90% is like, what do you mean hide in a locker? He can insta grab you out of it, and you just like need to go to the corner and just take a hit and make distance. And then you have the top 5% who are like, just hide in a locker again. It's a lovely evolution of gameplay that we get to see right now. It seems like no one wants to make a step. And that's where we kind of get a little bit deadlocked here. You know, Zynox doesn't want to leave basement because he'll explode. None of the survivors really want to step to these gens because, again, like a hook on Zynox would win here, but let's not pretend that a hook on anyone else would be good for them. They can just be camped out and then a win is secured. I mean, Ivan is way in this corner here. And the problem is, Ivan needs to then dodge this next shot, which he does successfully.
He keeps doing it. I've seen that same event 3 times now.
Yeah, get a little bit of deja vu.
Dodge the shot, make it down the other end of the map. Here's the thing, though. I think, did we hit that? Oh my God, we missed again. I was gonna say, he has enough time. He being Bubbo has enough time to commit to that down right now because we've managed to hang out and reduce the gen progress, but now we don't anymore because it's taken too long again. So, oh, hang on, guys. The groundhog has did not see their. Is Groundhog Day a thing everywhere? I don't know if it's a thing in
Gen has gone down to 10%. Shaq Gen's at 10%.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I was gonna say the Meg has seen her shadow and we'll have another 6 weeks of winter. Running into the basement. So I think that Bubbo knows that they've got a little bit of time to come down and get a hook here. But now we're chasing at main building, and this place sucks for a 110 killer. And we're gonna have to leave. There's scratch marks on the left side there. Oh no, never mind. We're on the way back here. Okay. This is a crazy.
I think Ivan's stuck. I think the pressure has finally gotten to the survivors. There's too many injuries. There's no way to heal them up. Zaka is gonna be stuck in this corner.
There's gonna be eruption.
Eruption is gonna proc. Oh my God, this is tough. This is really, really tough.
This is the tie
for the survivors.
By the way.
Yeah. So there's no winning
is the tie.
anymore.
But they get the generator done. But okay, so here's the deal. They need to get Zaka off hook and out the door without giving up another hook. Now, can they do that against a Deathslinger? Yes, it's possible with 3 healthy survivors. But it's not exactly easy, and we're not that close to either of the doors. So you see them reset. We saw the resets come in really quickly, and we see them scatter. So we know all 3 survivors are over here. It really doesn't matter who we find. Giving up an M1 here, this is scary. We can hard commit to Ivan because one survivor's got to get the door, one survivor's got to get the unhook, and Ivan's got to live forever. Forever. So this is looking Ariandel favor here, but it's not over yet.
The only place that he can physically take the chase is closer to the hook. Another great dodge there. Ivan is keeping the hopes and dreams of every single Nokron fan alive for the time being. This is ridiculous, and they've actually been able to get Zaka off the hook. But now they need to get them out. Ivan needs to live. They might be trying to make a Shaq play with Ivan.
maybe, or just okay. So they have Sloppy Butcher. So Zaka's got it. Shoots and hits. Who did they hit? Who is that? Oh, it's Shen. But they're gonna no. They can do this. If that door is gonna be open, we're trying to pull his. Yes, okay. So that was that. We don't want to give up the shot, but Bubbo's like, fine. I'll pull you all the way to comp corner. Misses that shot. This is gonna be so close. Wait, they're running down the other end of the map. Main building door is open. We have a lot of dodges to come in before we get out the door. This is so crazy. They got the door open, but not the closed door, so they have to make it all the way to the other side. We're chasing Zynox, the only healthy survivor. We need to hit a shot on a healthy. I don't think that's enough.
So he's going to drag him as far as possible, but he still has to reload. He doesn't have the Warden's keys add-on. They've just healed Zaka. So Zaka's going to come through and try and take a hit, and I think it's going to be doable. Yeah, Zaka takes the hit. It's just fine for the time being.
You have to break free, Zaka.
Zaka.
You have to break free. You have to break free.
Oh. Wait, this is actually so close. It's actually so close. And
we're doing it again.
They're going to send Sken here for that body block. But again, if the shot lands onto Zaka, which it won't. What is this cycle?
Okay, but they're going to stop this thing where they're not breaking free. They have to make distance and break free, make distance and break free. Ivan is healthy. Ivan's turn to come and see. Get down, Mr. President. They missed the shot. It's not over yet. There's one more shot. Ivan shot, right? That's not going to be enough. That's going to be enough. They're out the door. They're out the door. They're out the door. Oh my god.
We draw to draw.
All right. Guy, wow. What a friggin' game. Okay, we're going to go to the analysts and let them talk it through it. What's going to happen here, guys, is because we've gone 2-2 with a tie in the slinger set, we're going to run it back in the opposite order. So Bubble will be, well, I assume Bubble will be killing again on Deathslinger right away. Egdar, I need to go wash my face. I feel sweaty just from watching that match. Analysts, what do you got for us? Day's not over yet, guys. Analysts, let's see what's going on, Q. Q, you are currently muted.
Holy cow. Talk about an ending. What a great, effort by the survivors. You get played into a 3-gen. It feels like there's no way you're going to get it done. Then you scratch and claw, and you're able to find a way to get the 5th gen done. You have to go all the way to the top side of the map, and after shot after shot, able to get all 4 survivors out the door. I mean, it felt like there was a good chance by the killer there from the way things were playing out. I mean, Fredrik, what did you see in that last trial?
The Dead by Daylight is not a real game. What is this? This is okay. So, okay. Let's take a step back here. We get to 3 gens. There are still 4 survivors because apparently the killers for Ariandel and Nokron just refused to tunnel out today. It is actually wholly remarkable how few tunnel outs we have seen. And I know that there are probably some people watching and asking, why are the casters demanding that the killers be so toxic, right? No, it's not toxicity in competitive Dead by Daylight. One of the dominant strategies in competitive Dead by Daylight is picking a survivor, tunneling them out as quickly as possible, and making the game into a 3v1 instead. But when you end up in a 4v1 with a pretty tight 3-gen, you have to defend. And I wanted to bring this up. There were 2 perks that really made this game last as long as it did. And not Eruption, obviously, because we didn't have a lot of downs, but there were a couple of other perks. One was Call of Brine. Call of Brine is not a very common perk anymore. It used to be much stronger, but now you see it on rare occasion. It makes the generators regress faster. And when you are defending like that, right, you're sticking so close to your 3-gen, you can get a lot of value out of it. But Sloppy Butcher also meant that whenever anyone got injured, they had to spend a lot more time off in the middle of nowhere healing. And that meant that Call of Brine could do even more work. And that combination was enough to regress the generators to the point where even 4 survivors were struggling to break this 3-gen. I don't think that this game lasts nearly as long without Call of Brine and Sloppy Butcher.
They definitely helped prolong it, but you know what? At the end of the day, the survivors able to do just enough to force us to run things back in set number 5. Now, keep in mind, as we do get to run back the Deathslinger set here, one, we do have our teams have allowed to be able to take a 7-minute breaks. They're doing that now as well as discussing their strategies. But along with that strategy does come the ability to switch builds here. Now, it's always interesting because, obviously they came in with a certain game plan. Do you feel like MetalBro is the best option to switch things up, put different exhaustion perks on a different players? Or do you just go with the fact of, hey, we just had a darn good trial. Let's try and duplicate that and then put it back into our killer's hands? What's your thoughts, MetalBro?
Well, this really puts you in a really interesting position, right? Because now you have the ability to change builds. Doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean that you will. But I mean, the game plan overall worked out very well for them. And I mean, if Bubbo plays with the same idea that knowing, what perks they're going to be bringing in, if they don't change, he can kind of better understand what's going to happen if he plays a certain way, right? But either way, something huge to mention here is that Bubbo came in with a play style. He came in with the idea to protect the final 3 generators, the 3-gen, and he protected it very well, although it resulted in a tie between both teams. We saw in this last match Zynox hiding in the basement for quite a while, which was a very strong and smart decision from Team Nokron to hide their only remaining fresh hook survivor. That marked the win if Bubbo could get that down and hook onto Zynox. So hiding that survivor was very important. Now we're going to see a shift in things because things can definitely change here going forward.
They most definitely can change. And you know what's going to be interesting for me, is for Bubbo here, who now has to basically hit a reset button. Felt like more than likely had things wrapped up. All of a sudden things unwind. And now just as important as it was for Zaka to try and have a reset going into trial number, what would that have been, 9, as we get ready for trial number 11 here after the reset. You got to be able to have the best bad short-term memory and get ready to go right back out to Suffocation Pit and put your best foot forward. Let's run things back one more time here in set number 5, back off to the Suffocation Pit. Let's go ahead and take another trip back into the fog.
Well, I just woke up. What happened last match? I don't remember. Wait, did I miss it? It's Bubbo. Bubbo's loading in on Suffocation Pit as the slinger. It must have been a dream. All right. Anyways, let's see. Can one of the killers listen and actually tunnel out a survivor? Let's see if it'll happen. We're running it back. We got Bubbo loaded in. A slightly different build. We are not using Call of Brine. Instead, oh my God, very different build. We are, instead of Eruption and Call of Brine, we have Agitation to place our hooks in good spots and Pain Res. I don't even have anything to say at this point right now, Egdar. I don't know what to predict. I don't know what to expect. We had some really nice shots. That's something, right? Anyways, I don't know what to expect this game.
There's all manner of things that we could possibly see come out here. Bubbo, of course, both teams had the opportunity to change their builds should they so have wished. Obviously, we emphasize a lot more on the killer side, how they're going to adjust things. So, yeah, you're not going to go with the Call of Brine Eruption anymore. You're just going to be playing for downs, right? Sloppy Butcher is, of course, good to get the injury. You don't exactly struggle to injure survivors, right? But of course that's with the adage that Sloppy only activates if you actually hit them with a basic attack. I don't believe it applies if the chain is broken. So Zaka's going to be caught at Shack here. Immediate drop onto Shack pallet. Key resource burn, but it's going to allow quite a lot of distance for Zaka to be made. Of course, there's also the adage that the Warden's Keys add-ons, which are very popular with Slinger players all around the globe, not being run by Bubbo here today. So it's going to be a little more punishing to be forced to reload after every missed shot. Yeah, sure, it's only half a second off the rip, but that adds up with shot after shot after shot, and you realize just how much time that saves you. Especially if the durable chain, which obviously the idea is that you can use it at these pallets to get you hits, hasn't actually done you the business anytime soon, and it's not going to do it here either. It might be a small thing, but I believe that Bubbo's just chosen the wrong add-on to be blunt about this, and Zaka is having a phenomenal chase here.
I was gonna say, this is a textbook. This is a clinic right now on how to watch check spots. I think Bubba made a bit of a mistake there. Shot over that pallet there and went on the inside, which it is a shorter, like, it's the break in the wall is not as deep, but it's wider. I think if you go to the outside there, you might be better, but maybe wanted to prevent Zaka from maybe playing to the window. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened there, but we are eventually going to finally see it down here. But that was a really, really great first chase. That timer's got to be, 2:33. That is a very long first down. We will get pain res this time. But Zaka should be very, very happy with the way that match started compared to last match when the down came in significantly faster on the same survivor. Now, the generators down by Shack side, I feel like we're at home here. That is a really tight 3-gen. If you look here, they got this one here. One, good duck, good duck, good duck. All right, we're just going to M1 it. There, apply the sloppy butcher. Shen's going to run down the other end of the map. I think we saw Ivan kind of hanging out near that end of the map as well. So we'll see if maybe the unhook comes in. Go back to hook, Bubba. Go back right now. Never mind. Okay, this is what you wanted to do last time. Ignore what I said. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is what Bubba wanted to do last time, which is to say that chase somebody else, get a hook in, and go. That's what they were trying to do. But last time, they came up against Ivan and just could not get that down, and then it led into a flashlight save, which was crazy. So, yeah. Anyways, it looks like we are probably going to get pain res on. Yep. So, Zynox not quite yet finished this generator. But, yeah, I mean, I like the way this is going a little bit better this time, Egdar, because we have the 3-gen and we're kind of hanging around hook here. I would like to see some tunneling. There's a 4-gen. This is a 4-gen. This is a 4-gen. Yeah,
yes.
This is a 4-gen.
Well, not running the Columbine eruption anymore, but still the DVD Jesus decided to give him a little defendable 4-gen to work with regardless, so he's going to be rather happy about that. 2 fresh hooks, of course, both pain resonances, and Ivan just kind of spacing out the gun there, doing a very good job of it. And it is a matter of generally, it is just a matter of hit your shots on Deathslinger, which is a lot easier said than done. But like, it's the foundation and it's step 1 because it informs everything else that you do. If you land shots, you can at least injure survivors. If you have enough survivors injured, the chances that you can down one of them generally increases. The more downs, the more hooks, and the less gens done. There is no better slowdown in this game than getting someone on a hook. It's as simple as that. So he's actually going to keep with Sken to second stage because he doesn't care about those faraway generators. This is the area that he wants to defend anyway. He wants people to come here. He wants resource to be burned. Like, he sees like the pallet that he just passed by Shack. He wants that gone because that is just like a real kind of that's a problem for him. It delays his wheels a little bit. They can't keep spinning.
So, okay. I want to point out something here. This is okay. Here's where I'm gonna find. I don't want to find out later that there was a method to the madness and not realize. I am wondering if maybe both killers said, "Ew, gross." You know what stinks? Yeah, that shot. That's gonna be a death. I don't think we break out of that in time. And if we do, we get 2-tapped. We get 2-tapped. We get 2-tapped. We get 2-tapped. Oh, he got the hook off. Okay, he got the hook off.
Guys, I'm 2-tapped.
They managed to get the generator done, so now we're down to a 3-gen, not a 4-gen. So that's good. I was going to say, maybe main building is such a pain in the butt, they didn't want to worry about their camp out, tunnel out down main building, because it seems like Bubbo is happy playing Shack side. So maybe that's what they were thinking. So if that's the case, don't send me your anger. Save your angry letters. I don't need to hear it, Bubbo. Bubbo and Zaka, I apologize if that's the case, but we'll see. Anyways, that is going to be a fresh hook and a pain res on Zynox, although I don't think we got too much pain res value there. Yeah, I think what you were saying earlier about the reload might be true. I gotta say, because this is going back a minute ago, but man, Ivan is living in Bubbo's head when it comes to dodging shots. Ivan just has this like runs, stops, crouches to the left, does a little shimmy, runs to the right, crouches to the left, does a little shimmy, and for some reason, Bubbo is just enthralled by the shimmy and can't seem to hit him. So Ivan doing it right. Zaka was crushing those check spots, and Ivan is just gonna dodge shots in the middle of an empty field. Really early smart survivor play right now. We've got Ivan and Shen cranking out the middle gen together. Wow, that's actually huge. Yeah, I was gonna say we got Zaka hanging out for the save, but Zynox goes second. So already we're tied with last game's results right now.
Zynox wants to go back into the basement so bad. He wants to get back in that locker so bad. He's like, no, guys, trust me. This is the play. I need to get back to the locker in basement.
Guys, comfort blanket in there, you know.
Yeah, he's got Gatorade. He's got some Doritos. Like, it's a good setup down there. But no, they're going to reset Zynox, and then Zaka just kind of appears. I guess he just teleports in front of Bubbo. He's in a bad spot right here. A very bad spot, but Bubbo recognizes that the generators is of course where it's at, so he's gonna just work on getting that one completed. Meanwhile, it looks like Zynox is helping to reset Zaka, and until then Ivan and Sken just kind of have to wait. They have to wait for their mark and their ability to actually get back on these generators. Bubbo's been drawn over to the other side of the map, however. This is interesting.
Okay, so I want to point out too. So now we're in the same situation. I think he was waiting for that, by the way. Well, maybe not. He's still going. I was going to say Zaka just got reset. I thought maybe we'd turn around as soon as Zaka got reset, thinking that maybe the unseen survivor was healing. This is going to be a harder situation when it comes to great shot there. Ivan not living in Bubbles' brain that time. This is going to be a harder situation holding this 3-gen because we do not have the 3-gen perks that we had last time. We do not have Call of Brine, which got insane value, and we do not have... Oh, really ambitious shot there by Bubbo, but doesn't come through. And we don't have Eruption, so when those downs eventually do come in, we don't get that extra 10%. We don't get that aura reading, etc. I think I'm a little bit shocked we're this far away. We gave up the gen. I think what we're trying to do here is Ivan is our fresh hook, and we want to get that last fresh hook and maybe at least one or two hook states from, but one hook state would put us at 6 hooks for fresh, and that could be the game changer considering how the last game went. We'll have to see how this goes. Obviously, we see Zynox and Shen coming into tank hits, and Zaka's on the door down by Shaq right now.
It'll be a markedly better performance than last time, and Ivan has actually been caught at this window, but actually able to escape? What?
Even
no!
Through the chain! Even through the chain!
Okay, and now we have, I think we're going to be doing musical body blocks again. Zynox been pulled back into the map, going to be injured. We have to see a reload from Bubbo, and then a dodge. However, is the dodge able to come out? No, dodge wasn't able to come out. Zynox was one who got hit by that one, and that's going to be some extra hook stages, and I believe yeah, going to be extra hook stage for Bubbo in the corner over here. Ivan, Sken, and Zaka recognize that they just have to leave, and they are going to do just that. What is our final score on the door?
6 hooks, 3 fresh, marginally better than last time. I mean, with the way the game went, I wouldn't be disappointed if I'm Bubbo, but definitely had opportunity to do better. I think we might have been able to get ourselves into a better situation if we slowed down and instead of trying to hard commit to our last fresh hook. But who knows? Again, you never know what could have happened. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Q, take us away. Let us know what you guys thought of that match.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw the missed opportunity on the ace there at main and thought all of a sudden we were gonna be playing Musical Survivor one more time. And if I would have seen these survivors pull off one more magic run and get everybody out, I think I would have absolutely lost my mind. But one thing that was interesting is we did see RNGesus doing a pretty good job of being able to hook our killer up with some pretty nice gen spread down there on the shack side. And was able to utilize that for sure, especially being able to camp out two survivors this time around. Do you feel like that was the turning point here to be able to at least be able to collect more stages? Or do you still feel like we were missing something here, MetalBro?
I think that that was a very well played out strategy, camping two different survivors to second stage. That really definitely helped tally up the final win condition for Bubbo there, especially since these two different hooks were placed in the 3-gen as well. And I mean, Bubbo didn't really, ditch the playstyle from last match that he played Deathslinger. He just kind of came in with a new energy. And that was really nice to see. Bubbo definitely scored a better win condition this time going forward. And now Nokron are faced with this actually slightly difficult task here of getting a better win condition, despite how good their chases and macro was in this last match.
I can't help but wonder, even with being able to establish a better win condition, if maybe, just maybe, we could have bumped those numbers up an extra stage or two had we not committed to chase over at main while we had already done such a great job of being able to stay within our 3-gen for so long of that last trial, right? I'm kind of curious as far as for you, Fredrik. Do you feel like sticking to the 3, or do you like the idea of looking for that last fresh hook survivor? Because we can only assume that's what it was, or do you feel like that was a little bit of a fumble there at the end?
No, I think it's really reasonable to hesitate when you see someone leaving a decent 3-gen, especially a killer like the Deathslinger, right? But on the other hand, you have to think about, what am I trying to get out of a 3-gen, right? I think that last game it was much more reasonable for him to camp the 3-gen as hard as he did with his perk build. This time, though, as the casters noticed, different perk build for Bubbo. And I think that Bubbo recognized, okay, I don't have the tools to hold this 3-gen against 4 survivors. It's a bit of a weaker 3-gen. It felt weaker to me. The
For
sight
sure.
lines, I think, were not as generous. And so he figures, okay, you know what? I've found the fresh hook survivor. I know that these generators don't have a ton of progress. I've got time to go and take this hook. And he came out of it with a very decent win condition for the Deathslinger.
Now we get ready to switch to the sides here. I feel like we've already talked about once before, loading into our last trial, and this could be very well the last trial one more time. Although, you know what, if we are at the point where we get to run things back one more time, I can't say that I would necessarily hate it. I love that we've been able to see a couple of different approaches throughout the first 3 trials, at least so far on our Deathslinger set. And we had talked about at quite a bit of a extent at the start of this series about, in particular, for Nokron, who have been on a little bit of a losing streak here as of late. If they have the ability to scratch and claw their way on back, they could really, really pick up some momentum here heading into the rest of the weekend. So I feel like so much weight is on the shoulders of, well, all of our players as we do get ready to load in to this next trial. I don't know who I feel like has more of the pressure, if it's the survivors or the killers. I guess before we load in here, because it does look like our players we're still waiting on making sure we have all builds submitted in. Give me a quick prediction here, MetalBro. Who's walking away with the dub?
Well, given that Ariandel just posted a better win condition than previously, I'd say that they're looking like they have a really good opportunity here. But at this, in the same exact vein, right? Nokron's survivor play against the Deathslinger has been noticeably very strong and very consistent against Deathslinger. So I think this could go either way, but my money is leaning slightly towards Ariandel in this.
Leaning towards Ariandel, starting with the redemption from the regular season, but being able to put themselves one step closer towards that 3rd place finish. Fredrik, are you feeling similar sentiment here?
It's really hard to argue with that logic, right? You play a set, you end up with one of the killers, ending with a better win condition than he went in with. with a different build, right? Working nicely. But there's a part of me, right? There's a part of me that wants to be a little jerk and stick with my original prediction, right? I was saying going into this, I think that Nokron, like I was being the discordant one. So you know what? Logically, my head says Ariandel, my heart says Nokron. I would love to see them break their streak, break their bad luck streak, and come out with a win for this match in this best of 3.
Let's go. It's time for our final trial of our first series of championship weekend. Again, I guess. So running it back for a second time here on the Suffocation Pit. Back out one last time with the Deathslinger. It's all or nothing here for all 5 players taking to the trial. Zaka out on the Deathslinger. Let's go ahead and take a trip back into the fog.
2 teams which are so hotly contested that we couldn't just go to 5 trials, we had to go to 6, and honestly we could possibly go to more, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Zaka for Nokron trying to take a win here, of course, would put them in great standing for the rest of the weekend, having that 1 game up, having that confidence boost. It's not something that the losing team cannot recover from, but it's something which they will definitely struggle to. They will have to fight an uphill battle for that. Zaka back on Deathslinger, going to go with the exact same build, so still has some faith in the Rancor, which is decently informed by the win condition now. Of course, there were 6 hook stages, and I believe it was how many fresh? Was it 4 or 3?
3 fresh.
3 fresh.
We did not end up getting, I think it was Ivan, I don't remember at the end. Ooh, very weird miss there by Swatter. I want to point out something real quickly. These generators are ridiculous. There are 3 gens down this end, but look, there's 1 here, 1 near Shack. Great shot. 1 in the middle of the map, and 4 deep by main building. So we are exactly where Zaka is exactly where the survivors want him to be, which is to say that far, far away from the generators. The survivors have to get some of those gens done really quickly in this first chase, because they could find themselves into a lot of trouble later on.
Yeah, and now we had an avenue for a nice shot there. Unfortunately, it's not going to hit quite the same that you want it to, but Swatter actually just kind of zoned out into the corner anyway. Going to be a relatively fast first down coming out with regard to our last down. 1 minute and 19 seconds. The average Deathslinger down right now looks to be 105. So it's still behind schedule, but it's more ahead of schedule than it was when Ariandel was playing the killer.
So pain res is on the board, but that was not a pain res, which makes me think that, I mean, we did kind of get hooked by a hill in the corner, so there might have not been too many hooks nearby, but there is a pain res right here. And there's another one right there. So we may have had a bad RNG when it comes to pain res hooks, or sorry, scourge hooks, I should say. We are chasing. This looks like Hardwell to me. Oh, sorry, I apologize. That's Bubbo. That is a Jake, not an ace. Now we're gonna find ourselves zoned here. Bubbo is gonna need to try and get out of this corner. If we get hooked in this corner, we're gonna be in a really, really good spot. Yeah, okay, good little firecracker play there. Oh, green the pallet. Oh my goodness, a generator does pop. This is strong. Okay, so the top middle gen pop, but there's still 3 gens up here. If we can hook up in this corner on this pain res, why are we coming over here? Is there basement? Never mind, ignore me. I didn't know basement was there. All right.
Yeah.
Don't take the pain res, take the basement instead. That's 2 hooks, no pain res, which could come into play later on. But this is a basement hook in our 3 gen, as long as we can stop them from popping another one.
Yeah. This is the basement hook on Bubbo is absolutely massive here. Whilst you deny this gen from being completed, you're going to be able to get a nice kick onto it. The point is, if Zaka decides to stick around here, and I think he can because of this 3 gen setup that we have in the corner, like, they cannot go into that basement and save Bubbo without giving something up. It seems like Hardwell is the one that they're sending to deal with this, but like Hardwell has a lot of distance to cover. It's all being scouted very well by Zaka, and it's to the point where they're having to get someone off the gens just to send iPick over to assist with this save.
Well, I think what they need to do, this is what's happening. Yeah, we need to be... Oh, no, he's going in. I was going to say, we need somebody pressuring. Ideally, you need iPick hovering around for the save in your basement, and you need Hardwell pressuring this generator with a high progress. Because then the slinger, Zaka, yeah, like this. Zaka does not feel comfortable letting Hardwell... Bubba went second, though! That's huge. Because you know iPick's about to get the unhook here, but now... Wow. Okay. Sorry. A whole bunch of stuff happened all at the same time there. You need to be pressuring that generator so that the slinger feels like they have to come over. Killer has to come over and stop that generator from popping. You lose that generator, you lose your 3-gen. However, Bubbo going to second before iPick can go in and get the save means that Bubbo's on death hook now. And okay, that hit tank by iPick actually wound up being enough to get Bubbo out of there. But with the win condition, this is okay. I don't hate what's going on here with Zaka. I like that we are maintaining we're keeping our hooks near our 3-gens. We'll probably take a pain res here. Actually, you know what's crazy? If that was better for him. The fact that they popped that gen now actually worked because now that pain res hit the corner gen that had the most progress, I think. Maybe Shaq, but probably that. Rancor value there too. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place because a whole lot of stuff all happened all at once there. But that is our third fresh hook. And we're getting very, very close to win condition here.
Yeah, and you actually catch the injured Hardwell, and you're able to drive him back around the corner, so it's another hook. Remember, I don't believe that we got a pain resonance onto... Sorry?
No, this is our last fresh hook. Remember, I was wrong. It was Bubbo. I thought it... Okay, so yeah. And we're going to go get the pain res here. We're 1 hook away because we are at 5 hooks for fresh now. Yeah, we're at 5 hooks. We are 1 hook away. This is looking like Nokron's going to close this out.
Dark is just stalking right now. Knows that they're going to have to pull iPick off the hook. Knows that whoever is pulling iPick off the hook, which is probably Swatter, is going to stick around and be very vulnerable. Swatter has to have, like, the most incredible chase of his life, and that's a good way to start it, I suppose. But, like, you're gonna have to survive while Bubbo finishes the final gen, but then, like, you cannot have Swatter go down, and that shot's come through without the gun even being used, so it's fully loaded, it's ready to go. You can only run into the corner so far and so long, Swatter, and you're gonna be brought to your knees.
That is going, and yeah. Oh, they got the gen done, though, but that is going to be enough. Zaka says, you know what? I'm just going to put this guy up on my basement? Really?
Yeah, why not? Play it safe. Better safe than sorry, right?
I guess, but it's a win already. Like, I think safer is going for the close hook and not having the chance of a wiggle. But we're rocking agitation, so it's fine. It's all good. That is the win. So that's going to be it. That's... I mean, maybe it's not going to be it. We might see a little bit more here. No, Bubba's going to make it out. That is going to be the win. That is going to be 3-2 for Nokron. So this is, again, for everybody out there, we are doing a best of 3 matchups. So this was matchup. Today was matchup number 1. Nokron is taking the win. Tomorrow morning, we'll have matchup number 2. And if Nokron can win that, Nokron will take our bronze medal and the bigger portion of the prize pool. If Ariandel pulls it off, we will be having a 3rd best of 5 after that. I'm gonna pass this over to the analysts desk there to close out the rest of this. But it's been a pleasure casting this match for you folks today. I will be back on the analyst desk tomorrow. Egdar, what are you? I know you got more coming for us this weekend as well, I assume.
Yes. A bit of analyzing, bit of commentating, but we'll see. It's going to be a spectacular weekend. Hopefully it can all follow in the footsteps of this first matchup. 3-2, so close that we couldn't do it in 5. We had to go to 6.